Hi, this is with me and E. So I do apologize. My life has been crazy, so we were just able to finish Daredevil Season 3 last weekend.
I watched it in October, but I didn't tell her anything about it, so...
Well, that's because you're a real nerd and I'm just a faker, so there's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just wanted to have our traditional conversation.
Yeah, so this will be our final Netflix Daredevil commentary review. If anyone has been living in a cave the past few months, Netflix has terminated their contract with Marvel in some respect. The details aren't very clear, but what matters is that the Netflix shows are all ending. Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Daredevil have been canceled officially. Punisher and Jessica Jones, it's really only a matter of time. I mean, Punisher is coming out next week, and they just released the first trailer, so they really don't care anymore. It's pretty obvious it's ending.
Yeah.
Which is, it's, in some respects...
It makes life very difficult.
Yeah, so we're definitely not going to be reviewing The Punisher for a little while, because it's so soon.
Because we have to have time off for work if we want to do it right. And
Yeah. So it's kind of bittersweet. I mean, I feel much better about Daredevil ending than I do about Luke Cage and Iron Fist, because the showrunners didn't know ahead of time. This was very sudden, it seems like. So some of the shows ended in better places than others. Like Iron Fist literally ended on a cliffhanger, which was terrible. But, and it's, we've had a lot of fun with these shows. I feel very lucky that we had them. And, it's sad to say goodbye, even though in some ways, I'm grateful that we had them. I'm happy that we got them, and I'm at peace with it, I think.
Yep. I mean, I am too. It is very sad for me to, not binge watch it all at once and not have that to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of great experiences.
For Daredevil especially, was a good ending.
Yeah, it was. I'll come back to this, but there was one thing I wanted out of the ending that would have made it a really good ending, but it didn't end on a cliffhanger, and for that I'm happy. Yeah. So I guess we'll start with general. How would you said this was your favorite Daredevil season? Yeah, this was my favorite season. I think I got back to the simplicity of season 1, but with a little twist of complexity. And I especially liked the additions to Matt's backstory. I loved Maggie. I love finally getting Karen's backstory. Yeah. And a bit of Foggy's life, which is extremely different from what it is in the comics. Yeah, I couldn't... Yeah. I'm so attached to Foggy's family in the comics that I had a hard time caring about his family in the show, but it was nice to actually see them. Yeah, finally. I mean, I didn't really care about them. No, yeah. It's kind of, if you were Candace, I might care about you. Yeah. Yeah, this was for me, this was I think my second favorite Daredevil season, just because I loved season 2 so much. And as we were talking about, for me, this season, I really liked a lot about this season, but it felt kind of inconsequential to me. Like, there was nothing, usually there's, in these shows, there are certain points, where something really, really exciting will happen that will call back to the comics or something like that. And there was really only one this season for me, and it was Matt finding out about Maggie. And other than that, I felt like they approached certain things but didn't actually go for them. And I don't know, it felt like they could have pushed things further than they did. And so in that respect, I was kind of disappointed with it, but I did really like a lot about this season. And I liked it more than I liked season 1. So it's, a very solid season overall. Yeah. Again, a good way to send the show off. Mm-hmm. How do we want to start? we haven't mentioned the pacing. The pacing was really, really good.
Yeah.
That's always kind of a thing with these shows.
I thought it was very good. I thought it was the best of all.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really felt... Yeah, it didn't drag at all, I don't think. There was no particular point where I thought it was dragging. Yeah, which was really cool. I know I'm going to forget to mention this, but another thing about this season is that, and this is kind of it's a positive and a negative for me, but I felt like it rehashed a lot of the same themes as Season 1. It felt very much like Season 1 with, you mentioned, actually, it was Season 1, but a little more complex. And so in that way, it was kind of neat to it kind of brought everything full circle. But it also felt like it was kind of covering the same ground. You know, Matt in his black outfit, trying to take down Fisk, deciding whether or not to kill people, which we got in Season 1.
Not people. Just Fisk.
Yes. Which, and the killing thing...
Although, plot hole, he does absolutely 100% kill Nobu.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, the killing thing is a theme in all 3 seasons of the show, which I don't really... that's not really a Matt thing. I don't know. I don't know. I get that it's a dark and gritty, and that's kind of a thing, and also the fact that he did actually kill Nobu, and not only in self-defense in Season 1, but he tossed him off a roof in Season 2. So,
and he kind of weakens the whole thing. Come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's
like, well,
that was a legitimate murder attempt.
Legitimate murder success, I would say.
Yeah. Well, he did come back and then cut his head off, but yeah.
But he did die.
He did die.
Murder.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, the whole thing is a little bit weakened by that. And also the fact that they just kept harping on it. We got 39 hours following the same thing. And, if this was the Punisher, but I feel like...
But he wouldn't care.
No, but I'm just saying that killing is not enough of a Daredevil theme for me to merit them spending this much time on it.
Oh, no, yeah, I agree.
I would have liked other stuff.
Remember when Matt accidentally killed that guy during his first time out?
Yeah, yeah, talk about that. I love that. And then he just kind of like,
he didn't mean to kill the dude.
No, yeah, it was a complete accident. But he did, and then he was just kind of like, well, that'll spare the expense of a trial. Bye.
Doesn't he literally say that?
He does, yeah. That's what he says.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I really, I really like it. So in his origin issue, he's chasing the Fixer, and Fixer has a heart attack and dies. And yeah, it's just kind of, because it was the 60s, it was just kind of brushed off. But yeah, they could have brought that in. And that because you can have a lot of really interesting conversations about that. Because it's kind of an uncomfortable part of his origin story.
Which, it's never really mentioned
It's never brought up. It doesn't bother him. It's not a thing that comes back. It's just, whoops. Didn't mean for that to happen. And in Daredevil Yellow, it's discussed a little bit more. And Matt, in the sense that Matt wanted him to go to jail, and that it's frustrating for him that he would get this kind of easy out by just having a heart attack and dying. Yeah, there are interesting conversations.
Daredevil discusses someone going to the electric chair.
Yeah, I love that scene. Yeah, one of the other people
really
responsible for Jack's death.
And that, I think that's one of the only parts of Daredevil I can think of that Matt's like, oh, man, I don't think so. And to clarify, he isn't pro-murder.
No, he's not. There are times when the question of killing comes up, and it comes up a lot with Bullseye. So yeah, this season they could have brought it up with Bullseye, but in the comics, he's opposed to the death penalty. He doesn't kill, but he also isn't tempted to kill that often. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a thing that he grapples with on a daily basis or something.
No.
But at the same time, I wish the show hadn't been full-on dark and gritty for 3 seasons, but since it was, that is a dark and gritty theme that I understand why they went with it. Because, yeah.
I think that just the cultural prevalence of Batman.
Yeah. Matt is compared to Batman a lot.
That, like, kind of projects on other superheroes.
Yeah, and also the fact, and this also comes up in terms of kind of Matt's justification for being a superhero, which I also have mixed feelings about, but just the idea that because this is a mature show that is allowed to be bloody, and because they thus thereby emphasize how violent, they emphasize the violence. So all the times when Matt's beating people up seems really brutal. That kind of forces it to become a theme. That if you're going to emphasize how that he's being really kind of brutal, and if you're going to show how bloody it is and how that, then you have to kind of talk about, well, would he kill? I feel like that just comes with the tone, unfortunately. For better or worse. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what a real fight looks like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean,
yeah, definitely.
The fights in Daredevil look a lot cooler than an actual fight would look like.
I mean, yeah.
But
yeah, you're right.
If you get into an actual fist fight, it's not going to be like the Avengers. It's not going to be like very choreographed and like.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It's going to be like they're going to bleed and bones are going to be broken and people are going to scream and like that's like I get that. That's how it works.
And I do appreciate the realism that I think that is neat.
But at the same time, it's balancing like if you want to be dark and gritty and you have to lose some of the superhero elements of Daredevil that we like if you're going to do that. Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. Yeah, so that was a big theme this season.
Do you want to talk about Matt's mental health this season?
Yes, let's do that. Yeah, let's get started on that because there's a lot to talk about there.
Lots to talk about that. Yeah. My boy.
Yeah. So
my sick boy.
Yeah. So Matt miraculously survives having a building fall on him. First of all.
A bridge fall on him, one might say.
Mm-hmm. Elektra, I'm operating under the assumption that Elektra is alive. I would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, for sure she's alive.
So Elektra gets out, is somewhere we can imagine.
Same way that Matt does.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If Matt survives
the sewers.
Yeah. She's hanging out somewhere. But yeah. So Matt. So it's interesting if we track, and I actually wrote a post about this before the season. So if we track kind of Matt's progress in terms of how he thinks about himself and his superhero career. In the Defenders, he gives up being Daredevil, or he tries to completely.
Oh, Matthew.
Well, no. So in season 2, he kind of chooses being Daredevil over his civilian life. In Defenders, he gives up being Daredevil for a little while, and then here we have in season 3 that he completely gives up his civilian life, just totally. But saying I'm not Matt Murdock anymore, which is a thing he's done in the comics.
That's actually
frequently.
I mean,
that's a thing Matt does a lot.
In which it occurs.
Yeah.
Is kind of reflective.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes back and forth on this a lot in the comics, so it was fun to see him do it in the show also.
Yeah. But I do like the gradual progress into putting back that idea of Matt Murdock and Daredevil.
Yes.
Like, it was very, very gradual, but it felt very natural to me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I was waiting for that. That was so satisfying. I was really proud of him.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
He finally got there.
He's
but
a bad boy, but I love him.
But yeah, so when we start the season, he's not in a good place.
No, he's a sad boy. A bad, sad boy. Yeah, I mean, very...
He's suicidal.
I mean, first of all, confused, because presumably his head's been knocked in.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and his senses aren't working properly, which is a horrific thing for Matt. In any context.
Drops him back to powerless. Speaking of Matt's mental health, going on a dipsy doodle. I don't know why I said that. But that's what happens in Powerless. So Powerless is a short series about a universe. I'm not sure if it's our own.
I mean, it's implied to be analogous to our own. It's close enough.
It's basically our own with a few...
Yeah, it's our... Yeah.
Doctor Strange is there. It's possible that he knows stuff. But that point is never expanded on, and I really want to know.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that plot point.
Anyways.
Yeah.
What's that?
I forgot about that plot point. Clearly I need to reread Powerless.
I mean, it's for 1 second, but...
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of cool... But in any case,
He probably does know something.
Yeah.
So this is a universe in which Matt has no powers whatsoever. And the speed at which... I mean, he's already gone very much downhill. But he's in a really bad place because he doesn't have that outlet. It's really interesting.
It's really great.
Like, awful.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so awful.
Yeah.
Is it on Marvel Unlimited now?
It is. But yeah, it's a really neat universe because it's Matt who doesn't... There's no thought in his mind that he could possibly be a superhero because he doesn't have powers. He doesn't have that option. But he's still Matt, so he still is an adrenaline junkie. Mm-hmm. He's still really, really stubborn. And it gets him into a lot of trouble. And it's really cool.
The ending is...
the ending is brutal. But yeah, so...
Yeah. If you are, like, I will say, if you are very sensitive to, like, depressing endings...
Yeah, it's hard to read. It's really hard to read.
Yeah, the ending for Matt is not great.
No. But it's a really good
He's a very,
series.
very sad boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And he has to do cope. So that's all I'll say.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so... The idea that Matt has woken up and he's deaf in one ear, his radar sense, whatever form it takes in this universe, we still don't know, isn't really working. And
yeah, it's very wonky.
He's giving up his civilian life, but he also doesn't have the option of being Daredevil. And so he essentially has nothing. And he, he needs, not only is, he needs that outlet of being a superhero. It's just something he needs. And also just the fact that he's, and losing any more of his senses limits him in everything. He's so dependent on his remaining senses that... it's a nightmare for him to lose any, and so he wakes up in this kind of horrible situation where, frankly, it's amazing he's able to walk again. That he's able to, that sensory stuff is the only issue because he's really banged up, and he has nothing.
Pain is getting in the way of a lot of his senses.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that too, definitely, yeah. So yeah, and he spends the first episode, and I really like the sensory stuff in the first episode, and in this season in general. I think they did some really great stuff with the sensory details. And watching him in this first episode, kind of figuring out how to get back what he lost, or to get some semblance of it back, and then when the episode ends and he thinks he can't, and he is suicidal. That's... Matt is not often suicidal, at least in the comics. That's a really big deal.
He has been.
He has been, but it's not usual for him. He usually
and it's
has...
usually, well,
I can think of 2 times in the comics when he is suicidal. Okay. He's usually too stubborn to be suicidal. he will fight on anyway. But I can think of 2 times.
I mean, from what I've read, he usually, if he is suicidal, it isn't like active. It's like he has a passive death wish.
Yeah, well, there's one right after Heather Glenn dies, Heather, she commits suicide, so it's kind of a whole theme, and there's an issue afterward that deals with Matt kind of trying to come to terms with that, because the Heather Glenn situation is really, really messy. Matt was not entirely responsible, but he was a big influence in her committing suicide. And there's an issue afterward where he's figuring out how to cope with that, and the Vulture, who is used in the issue to kind of represent death, the Vulture's a Spider-Man villain, shows up, and he ends up fighting Matt. And over the course of the issue, Matt's friendship with Foggy breaks down, the law office goes out of business, and he's fighting the Vulture, and he knows but Matt, at a certain point, realizes that he, on some level, wants the Vulture to win. And then he kind of snaps out of it. And then the other one was in Soul's Run, actually, where he, after Sam gets blinded, and he essentially hires Bullseye to take him out. Yeah. So that's kind of the most suicidal he's ever been in the comics that I can think of. So yeah, him getting this, I mean, because Matt in the show is so much more kind of raw than he is in the comics, it doesn't surprise me quite as much. I don't think it's as big a deal, but it's still a very, very big deal that he is that low, because we haven't seen him there before.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me really at all that he would be.
Yeah, but even still, it doesn't last long. There's that one, he goes out, it doesn't work, and then Maggie smacks him upside the head a few times, and then he gets over it. So even when he is suicidal, it doesn't take long for him to get his fight back, which is very Matt. Which I appreciated.
Indeed. How about the hallucinations he's had?
Yeah. So that's another thing that he gets in the comics.
Matt has been actively psychotic.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah.
I think that's far more common than him being suicidal, him being psychotic.
Has he been in the show before? I'm trying to remember. I feel like he hasn't actively hallucinated in the show, but he
might have had some, I'm trying to go through my mind.
I can't think of anything.
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, he's been stubborn on things, but he hasn't been, actively delusional.
Yeah, I think we can say pretty firmly that this is the worst Matt mental health we have seen in the show.
It's better than Born Again.
I mean, yes, it's better than a lot in the comics. He's had some really terrible psychotic breaks in the comics. He hasn't. Show Matt ain't seen nothing. He's perfectly fine. But yeah,
there's this really just gripping scene in Born Again when he's talking on the phone.
Yes.
to Foggy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he hallucinated the entire conversation. It's really sad.
Yeah. And this season, as was kind of implied, there's a lot of Born Again in this season. It's not a retelling, and none of these seasons have been direct retellings of anything, but there are a lot of elements and images and kind of concepts from Born Again in this season. which is cool because, I mean, there's been a lot of Frank Miller in the show. There's a lot of Frank Miller in the movie. I wish they would do things other than Frank Miller, but they haven't. Born Again actually hasn't been.
I mean, Frank Miller.
I mean, I love Frank Miller's run, but
Frank Miller wrote the most Daredevil run.
Well,
of all time, pretty much.
Well, it's the most famous. Yeah.
Most classic Daredevil.
Yeah, but Born Again hasn't actually been. Born Again hasn't actually been adapted before, so I was okay with it because I love Born Again. Didn't.
Again, is awesome.
Yeah,
it's a great read.
Yeah, and again, a lot of the references were actually weaker than they are in the comics. So on some level, it's kind of like but they're also really cool. And so the idea of Matt being at this really low kind of raw emotional state to the point where he starts hallucinating is very. I mean, not just Born Again, but it's certainly Born Again-y. I mean, there's a lot. I've been rereading Shadowland, which has got me. I'm always really interested in when Matt dreams / hallucinates, because we tend to. I don't know. I can go into a tangent, and I'm not going to. But I find it really interesting, kind of picking apart, portraying that kind of thing in a visual medium and trying to figure out whether Matt is actually having visual hallucinations and when he's not, because usually he wouldn't be. But what I find interesting is that he hallucinates Fisk in the white suit, and how do we interpret that? Is he, or is it?
That's interesting.
I mean, I'm assuming we're not supposed to read into it that much. That it's just. It's kind of, my idea is that it's kind of a representation of Fisk as, kind of archetypal Fisk. This is at his purest form, and that Matt's not actually imagining him in a white suit. First of all, because he doesn't know what Fisk looks like. Second of all, because that would be a coincidence, etc. That it's not.
And I agree with you there. I think it's Fisk at his most powerful.
Yeah.
Is what Matt's.
Yeah. Oh, that's
imagining. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, because the Fisk in his head is not very. I mean, Fisk is generally not known as a very charitable guy.
Yeah.
But
he's a jerk. That. Matt head Fisk.
But he's a real
shoulder Fisk is terrible. Yeah.
Dingling is not the right word, but.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Wink. How about, what it would be interesting for me to go back and look at?
Mm-hmm.
It would be really interesting for me to see if, because I know a lot of his Fisk hallucinations were really blurry in the background.
Yeah.
I was wondering if Jack might be clearer.
Huh. That's really interesting.
Because he does know what Jack looks like.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, man, I want to check that now. But I'm not going to, because I don't want to mess with the internet connection. But that's really cool. But yeah, there were so many kind of sensory details that they thought of this season that I actually wouldn't be surprised if they'd thought of that. I mean, I would kind of be surprised, but I wouldn't put that. That certainly seems like a possibility. That would be really cool. Did you? I
mean, that would be extreme.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever listened. Before the season came out, they released a bunch of audio clips of various scenes, and it was just audio, and you could hear heartbeats and stuff. Did you listen to those?
I didn't. I didn't get the chance.
Oh, they were so cool. They were basically Matt's point of view on various scenes. It was awesome. They did the sensory stuff they did for this season made me really happy. We're gonna check that out. Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about was there was one scene. First of all, I love the idea that he just of him using the thing with the water up his nose, and then that just clears out his sinuses. Yeah. I love that being the solution. I really appreciate that. Oh, okay. We're good.
Yep. Gross.
Yeah. I love that. It's so practical, though.
That's good, also.
Yeah. just some science blockage. But what did you make of the scene when he... Actually, I mean, it is that scene when he notices the trains running under the church, and that helps him to get his hearing/radar back. Because I
really like that. I thought that was a nice... Well, I mean, first of all, he like, gets, all that sinus blockages clear out. But I also feel like he should have felt the vibration.
So that's my thing. I'm trying to figure out what he's actually picking up that he wouldn't have been picking up on before. Because, there was nothing... He doesn't have touch blockage. There's no reason why he wouldn't have been noticing vibrations beforehand.
Unless it was pain.
But even still,
because
he's not... If he was in that much pain, it would have... we would have... It didn't seem like he was in enough pain to actually not be feeling things.
Yeah,
because that would have... I feel like they would have made a point of making that clear. But, so I was
trying... You should have felt that.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out what they were actually depicting, because it seemed like they were depicting vibrations, but I wasn't sure if it was actually meant to be interpreted as his hearing coming back. But even still, the vibrations were there, so... Yeah, so that was... I love the idea of that.
And that's pretty loud.
Yeah.
He still should have heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
even half deaf.
Yeah, so I love the idea of that. I love him kind of walking around the space, getting his echolocation radar equivalent back. But yeah, that was the actual basis for the concept was not thought through. But it was still a really cool scene. I don't know.
I also like that he takes his shoes off, takes his shoes and socks off.
Yeah.
To get the sense of the vibrations in a very tough, way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And also,
I thought that was a nice detail.
Yeah. And I also want to
talk about the echolocation.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
Himself to
Yeah. So our big sensory complaint about the show is that they did a terrible job explaining Matt's proximity sense, radar sense, etc., explaining how he knows where things are. Yeah, and it led new viewers to think he could see, which I'm still...
He can't.
I wish they still didn't make it clear, but he did obviously actually use echolocation this season, because there are several times in the season where he snaps his fingers to get a sense of something, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Awesome, because that's kind of a thing that the radar sense in the comics is very, very poorly defined. Everyone writes it differently, and it would be cool if they just made it echolocation, and whatever it is in the show, at least showing that he used echolocation is really, really, really cool. I love that. Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Yeah. What were other sensory issues we had? There was one point where Matt should have smelled someone.
There was one I'm thinking of is when who is he talking to? Is it Ray? Someone asks him about the suit Dex is wearing, the Daredevil suit.
Oh, yes.
And Matt says it was exactly the same or something. How he's asked how good a replica is it, and he says it's perfect. And he would have no way of knowing that. I mean, it might smell exactly the same. Yeah, but he would have no way of knowing if it was a perfect replica.
Yeah, and that it was vaguely shaped the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a floral print.
Yeah, I mean...
as far as he knew, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it should have been floral print. I kind of want that now.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good time to talk about Matt's, I love when he does this in the comics. Peeping and gazing.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about that. That was great.
There were actually, like, several times where he tried to pass as sighted.
Yeah, that was a big thing this season, which was really cool. I mean,
he gets away with it.
He does. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved for, I think it's an issue that they didn't make his eyes look damaged, but it was really, really cool to see him try to pass as sighted. I really, really enjoyed that. And yeah, he got away with it. I love when he's walking through the hotel and he picks up a brochure off the table and he looks at it. He reads it.
That's what sighted people do, right?
Look at me looking at this.
I'm sighted.
Yeah.
Hey guys, guess what? I'm sighted.
Wee. Yeah.
And Matt trying to glare at Fisk at the end.
Oh, that was really.
It doesn't quite work. He's very intimidating.
Yeah.
It was more of a face your face in his general direction.
Yeah.
And look angry.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Another bit I love. Well, actually, there were two. The 2 points in the show when Matt is using his senses, but he's in civvies, so he can't make it seem like in the end of the prison fight, when he's leading that guy out of the prison, but he's making it look like the guy is leading him. And then the bit with Ray in the van, where he tells him where to shoot. I love that! Those were so good. I love those.
He stops trying at some point.
Yeah, at a certain... Yeah, well, that's the... Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, he has to... It's a matter of life or death. He has to kind of risk. And, yeah, so let's go right into the secret identity stuff, because we have no organization, and that's where we're going. No, so let's talk about that.
We usually do try to pretend we do, but we don't.
But not anymore. So. Yeah, it's hopeless. Yeah. So first of all, I want to talk about the prison fight, the hallway fight to end all hallway fights. It was an 11-minute long single shot fight scene with huge Devil in Cell Block D vibes. That was another thing that they kind of invoked, but didn't actually go for that plot point, which I would have really liked, because I love Devil in Cell Block D. But
I like the vibes, though. I like that.
Yeah, the vibes were great. We'll talk about Matt stealing Foggy's wallet later, because I love that. But this idea that he's trapped in this place with security cameras, with Fisk actively watching him in civvies, and he has to not die. And this is the first big time...
And he's on drugs.
Yeah, and he's drugged up. But this is...
He's, like, really drugged up.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the first... I mean, he dealt with secret identity stuff in the Defenders, but that wasn't as dangerous a thing, because he was with people he could trust, even if he didn't know he could trust them at the time. But this is his big bad watching him, and he has to figure out... This is his first huge secret identity dilemma, where he has to kind of figure out how to stay alive while also not giving himself away, and it's kind of impossible, but he tries. And I love that. I mean, I love the artistry of the fight, but even more than that, I just love Matt being hit with that kind of secret identity problem and trying to deal with it as best he can, and not quite succeeding, but that's okay. I don't want him to succeed. I love Matt's secret identity problems. That was really cool.
I do question the amount of Molotov cocktails they have.
I mean, you know,
in that one prison.
Yeah,
I mean, keep being thrown. That's a lot.
Well, yeah, you get when you get go into that prison, they give you your complimentary Molotov cocktail for use once.
But it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was a lot.
Fisk is like trying to get him.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But,
yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I guess that's, like, how I explain, like, no guards, like, actually being there.
Yeah.
But,
well, the guards are all working for Fisk. So the guards all want him dead, too. Well, actually, no, not all of the guards. Just some of the guards. But the guards that matter.
Yeah. So I Googled Molotov cocktail, and I just wanted you to know that one of the top Googled things are Molotov cocktails dangerous? So another one is, can you drink Molotov cocktail? Yes.
Yes. Do it.
Yes. Which alcohol is flammable? All of it.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
If these are the kinds of people who are making Molotov cocktails, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah. Government, if you're listening, I'm not going to make any.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because Daredevil Season 3 showed us how dangerous they are.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, so, Fisk finds out Matt's secret identity. And who he shows the video to Ben Donovan. So Ben Donovan finds out Matt's secret identity. Ray finds out Matt's secret identity. So I was really hoping for a secret identity plotline because everyone found out. I mean, that was a big... I felt like not enough was done with the fact that, hey, suddenly everyone knows his secret identity.
I mean, okay, first of all, Ray, I think if he did survive, and I was telling you that he was going to die since New York Comic Con.
Oh, yeah, we called that in October, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we called that, yeah.
We were in the panel,
and I
pointed at him, I'm like, that dude's going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a goner when I see one. That boy, Ray. He's a goner. Yeah. He's going to go.
Yeah.
I really like Ray, though.
Oh, yeah. He was a great character. Yeah, he was, yeah.
He was very likable. He was in a really tough spot.
Yeah, he was really good cannon fodder. He was a really well-developed cannon fodder, which is the best kind of cannon fodder. You're supposed to care about him. He was really good. It's a bummer he got mixed up with both the Kingpin and Bullseye.
Yeah, that's a bad.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, so I was really hoping the instant Fisk got that video, I got all excited because I thought, oh man, we're gonna have the trademark Matt Murdock secret identity shenanigans, and then we didn't. So that was another thing I was disappointed about.
Yeah, I think the problem is that with Fisk knowing right now, he's not going to use, he's not going to play his hand right away.
Well, no, and he doesn't in the comics either. But I felt like that is such an iconic Daredevil theme. No, that it felt like it was the obvious place it was going to go, and then it didn't. If they had gotten a season 4, that had to have been what it would have been. Yeah, there's no other. I wouldn't have accepted any other plotline at this point.
You would have accepted other plot lines.
I mean, yes, I would. But it would have been dumb to not do it. That's how I'll put it. It would have been stupid to not do a secret identity plot.
I know you, and you would have accepted it.
I mean, yeah.
And enjoyed it. But you would have been cranky that they didn't do it.
Yeah, there we go, yeah.
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 So I'm thinking about all the people who know. Mm-hmm. So Donovan knows, but acknowledging that he knows that Matt Murdock's Daredevil would...
Yeah, I feel like he wouldn't use
his association with Fisk and his knowledge of his activities.
Yeah. But with
and Donovan follows the CYA procedure. Do you know what that is?
No.
The cover your ass
yes
procedure.
Yes, he does.
Call it in the field.
Yeah, I will always love him dropping Mariah in Luke Cage Season 2, dropping Mariah when she loses her money and coming right back when she gets it back.
Hey, he follows a CYA policy.
Yeah, he's smart. Yeah, I respect him.
Yeah, I mean,
you
gotta cover your ass.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, cover your ass, man. So I think if he revealed that Matt Murdock is Daredevil,
yeah,
he would have to be like, okay, I was watching him on the security camera being beaten up by my client in hopes of killing him, and I did not turn this client in, despite having knowledge of active criminal activities.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I don't think...
Yeah, I think that's why he was stuck.
I don't necessarily think any of the big-name people who found out this season would have leaked it. It's just the fact that it's out there, and so it could have... Someone else... It's at the point where other people could have found out easily, and that could have become an issue.
And Ray kind of owed Matt a debt, so I don't think he would have... I think he would have kept his mouth shut.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, but I just feel like it's the kind of thing where it's out there. Other people could find out. Yeah, I mean, Foggy almost told Marcy. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's getting loose. The information is becoming less guarded. So, yeah, I was hoping for them to go further with that.
You want to talk Bullseye?
Yeah, let's talk about Bullseye. So, people have been asking since the show was first announced when Bullseye was going to happen, and Bullseye did finally happen this season, which I have mixed feelings about because, I mean, Bullseye is cool, but he's also really overused, and there are a lot of really neat Daredevil villains who have never been adapted into anything who I think would have been really cool. Like, I think Mr. Fear would have been really cool in this universe, in live action. I was really hoping for Mr. Fear. But that said, they did some neat things with this version of Bullseye. Do you want?
Why is his name Dex?
Poindexter is from the comics, but I don't know why he's named Ben. He should be Lester. He owns that stupid name. Let him have his stupid name.
They're both stupid names.
I know.
Dex is a dumb name.
I feel like Dex is less dumb than Lester, in my personal opinion. Lester. I was telling you the bit in Marvel Knights where he's lost his memory and Fisk gives him that file that'll tell him who he is, and he opens it up and he just goes, Lester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If my name was Lester, I would feel the same way.
Yeah. I would kill people too if my name was Lester.
That's a pretty bad name. You know what a great villain name is? Zebediah Kilgrave.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
That is a great...
They didn't let him have his dumb first name either in the show.
I know! What was his name? Wasn't it like Kevin?
Kevin. He was freaking Kevin.
Kevin is like the weakest name on Earth.
Yeah, I'm not...
Name him Zebediah.
Yeah,
Zebediah is a great villain name.
I love that. What does Matt call it? The Doctor Doom paradox?
Yeah.
His name sounds like a supervillain name.
So he has to become a supervillain?
Yeah. But yeah, so they really did, they did a lot to make Dex kind of a unique version of Bullseye and also kind of sympathetic. They made
sympathetic's a bit of a stretch.
Well, yeah, but they tried to make him. There are points where you're supposed to sympathize with him.
They are very fleeting.
Yeah,
but yes.
Do you want to talk about, because we got?
Oh yeah, God, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to start with that?
So I'm gonna try and organize my thoughts because this actually makes me really upset.
Okay.
He doesn't have borderline personality disorder. He just doesn't. First of all, therapist is completely irresponsible for even considering that. I mean, forget the fact that it's a not true diagnosis. I mean, it is. People have it. I work with people who have it. But, like, it's not acceptable to give people personality diagnoses when they're under 18. The reason being, I believe, I believe the reason for that is theoretically your personality, like, is kind of in flux as you're growing up. Because personality is, like, a sequence of, like, personality is basically patterns of behavior that you have and that are really concrete and solid. And you really don't mentally mature and solidify those patterns until you're an adult. You really can't. So, I mean, obviously you have a personality, but you don't have a quote-unquote personality until
an official personality.
A solid, firm basis, like, until you're an adult. And that's just the theory, but, I mean, also it's super, borderline personality disorder is super stigmatized, and he also doesn't have it. All right, 1, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. I can see that. I can see them saying, okay, well, for Dex, he does have, like, kind of an abandonment issue, but
it's not extreme enough?
So, I'm going to try and give you an example of what someone with that diagnosis might behave like. Okay, so say, okay, I actually do have an example. Someone is feeling really upset and they're not sleeping, they're just, like, really anxious and riled up all night. So they make the choice to call a friend at 3 a.m. They know the friend's not going to answer. They, like, know that that's not an okay time to call people. But at the same time, when the person doesn't pick up after they've called 5 times, they still feel like that person has abandoned them.
Okay.
So, like, that would be an example of really, really intense feeling of, like, oh my God, they abandoned me. It's not, in that case, it isn't real because, we can go back and think in our logical minds, they're sleeping. They don't want you to call them at 3 a.m. And they might think that too, but they still feel, like, really, really riled up about it still, even if logically they might know, like, it's 3 a.m. Don't call them. So 2, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. I mean, again, this is another one I can, like, see, but, like, it's not real. It's like this whole thing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I've decided I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This whole thing is basically like, it feels like someone Googled it and it was like, aha, I know what one is with no context besides
that.
A lot of borderline has to do with, like, suicidal behavior, self-harm behavior, like, and very, like, kind of it fills a need to get people to notice you if you're feeling abandoned. Like, okay, I called my friend at 3 a.m. in the morning. I knew they weren't going to answer. I knew that they, like, were sleeping, but I feel like they've abandoned me. So I'm going to send them a text telling them I'm going to, I'm hurting myself or I'm going to kill myself, so they can come and help me and give me that attention. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's a great example, but
no, I think that seems pretty clear.
So it's like if you're feeling very abandoned, if you're feeling very like alone, you make like those impulsive choices happen. Mm-hmm. Or if like, say, if you have a boss who, I don't know, says something like that rubs you the wrong way, like, and you become really upset because screw them, and then just quit your job after like 2 days.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what they did was, I feel like they Googled it. Not a lot of research was done. The consequences of using a real label on someone like that, like, is not okay, really, in my eyes. Like, it's not, you shouldn't have labeled it.
Yeah, just make it, he's Bullseye. He kills people because he's Bullseye.
Yeah.
He likes to kill people because he does. Yeah.
Yep. And the therapist shouldn't, that's not something that happens ever. Mm-hmm. Almost ever. There's probably some people who do, but it's widely considered like really irresponsible and not a legitimate diagnosis for a child that young.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like a lot of the attempts to make him sympathetic don't really add up to me. Like the whole thing with his parents, like, oh, if I pitch a perfect game, my parents will come back. Like, I can kind of see that happening.
Yeah, I mean,
but it kind of doesn't pass my smell test.
Yeah,
just my gut instinct is like my basic, like, so I'm not a professional. I am a paraprofessional. So I do work in the field, and I am going to be getting my master's. I'm in the process of working on that. Ooh. I'm getting my master's. But yeah, I do work in my field, like, hand in hand with professionals, and have like 6+ years of experience, specifically in childhood mental illness. Like, that's kind of my main thing, my main interest, and it does not pass my smell test. It feels wrong. It feels like something that,
I mean,
someone who might know a little bit about like mental illness might have cobbled up, kind of
for context,
lazily.
For that specific line,
what's that?
That specific line is actually a reference to a Bullseye comic, so that's where that came from. There's a comic, actually, the episode is named after it. The comic is called The Perfect Game, and it's about, it's the context is completely different. It's Bullseye as an adult, as an assassin. He is hired to kill a baseball player, and instead of just doing it the easy way, he decides to make it kind of a long process, and he learns to pitch. He joins a team. He gets recruited to a team on the same level as this guy, and he gets up to the plate, and he ends up deciding, he's on the plate and he's pitching, and the guy will come up to bat, and he could just throw the ball at his head and kill him, but he becomes overcome with this temptation to just see if he can pitch a perfect game. It's a really great comic. So that's what it's not great mental health, but that is actually why that's the justification for that line. It's what it is.
My broad statement is going to be like, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of kids with mental illness. Like, that it doesn't seem like a real kid with mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I've worked pretty much like across the board from 3-year-olds to 19-year-olds, like, and tons of situations, tons of diagnoses, like, in people's homes or families. So I've kind of, I don't want to say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And, no, I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
He has a fictional diagnosis. He's a guy who likes to kill people. That's about it.
Yeah.
A guy who likes to kill people who's trying to fulfill that need.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I mean, he's bad. He's bad, man. He's a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
He's a bad guy, period.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a good person.
Yeah. Yeah, I did appreciate the attempt to kind of complexify, or is that the right word? I feel like that's...
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I feel like on a certain level, you just have to go, it's Bullseye. He actually enjoys killing.
He kills
it's the same, it's very similar to Matt's situation, where instead of just going... He's Daredevil because he likes being Daredevil. They make it more complicated and kind of delve into why, and, they go into all this stuff with, violence, and side effect of the kind of dark and gritty and grounded tone is this attempt to kind of completely justify everything to the point where it actually weakens some things. And I think we do see that with Dex, where he's not, he's kind of hampered in his bullseye-ness by this attempt to make him extremely kind of pitiable.
And you shouldn't justify it. Like, there's no reason to justify it.
Yeah. He's a. I mean, you can make him likable. I mean, Bullseye, when he's written well, is a lot of fun. He can be very likable even when he's a terrible person. Yeah, so there's a difference between doing that and kind of I don't know. They could have done him a lot worse, I think, but yeah, they're definitely
very well. I very much enjoyed him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That being said,
the diagnosis was wrong.
Don't listen to the show. The show is not a valid.
Don't diagnose yourself based on Bullseye.
Yeah. Yeah, don't, I mean, no, don't, that's not it's not a good source of information.
No.
Time out, I'm going to send you a copy of the diagnosis criteria.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. One thing I think you were talking about this, I think they cast him really well.
Yes.
The actor, Wilson Bethel, he had the Bullseye vibe. I did not trust him for a second.
Yeah. He did have, like, the crooked smile, and the butt chin, and, like...
Yeah, the kind of creepy offness. Yeah.
Like, he almost fit in, but not quite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good. And I liked... so we were lucky. We got to see the Matt versus Bullseye Bulletin fight on the big screen at New York Comic Con.
It was so good.
It was awesome. But yeah, so I loved that they didn't. I was overall really satisfied with the way they handled his bullseyeing, whereas they didn't really tone down. I feel like they could have done more, but. I would have said that no matter what. They could have broken
him real bad.
What? Yeah.
They could have broken him real bad.
Yeah. But I was really happy. They just kind of went with the perfect aim stuff, and they didn't really go into it, because Bullseye is one of those characters who, technically he doesn't have powers, but what he does is not physically possible, and it's just, you just don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
And Fisk, I was actually surprised they didn't have more people question it. Fisk asks him about it, and he doesn't really explain. But they just kind of went with it. And there were a lot of scenes that were actually very reminiscent of the movie, in terms of Bullseye, particularly the ones in the church, where he's just throwing everything. which I really
I love
appreciated.
when he takes the chandelier.
Yeah, he takes the crystals off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love later in that scene where he's shooting at them, and Ray says, I think he's across the street. And Matt's like, no, he's downstairs. I think he's ricocheting the bullets. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, the fight at the bulletin where Matt encounters him for the first time and doesn't know who he's dealing with, and he just keeps getting hit in the head by office supplies. Mm-hmm. And it's great.
And that fight, watching it on the big screen, I will say I was at the edge of my seat.
Oh yeah, it was great because there's so much dramatic irony involved because we know it's Bullseye. You know, Matt will just kind of hang out and hide, and we know he's going to get hit. And then he does get, it's
real bad.
Yeah, it's such a great, it's a really great fight. Yeah, I love that fight. And particularly, there's one shot where you see him around the corner. They just did a really good job kind of depicting and building the tension. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, kudos Foggy for punching Bullseye in the face.
Twice.
Love that. Yeah. Got it.
So I love, you know what? Actually, that whole fight reminded me of when he's around the corner, and this is an underused Daredevil villain who hasn't been explored at all. Ikari.
Yes.
It reminds me of the scene with Ikari, one of the greatest Daredevil scenes I've ever read.
Yes.
With man. So Matt's hiding from him. Matt's turned on the sprinklers. So at this point in the comic, we think that Ikari has Matt's
power set.
And he does.
And that he's blind. That he's a bit exactly like Matt.
Yep.
But that's what Matt has determined.
Yep. And so Matt pulls out a baseball bat very quietly. I don't know how he thinks he can.
Well, he's reaching for it. He hasn't actually gotten it yet. He reaches for it.
Okay, yeah. And then Ikari's like, how about the red one? And Matt's like, oh, God. And it's a really good moment.
Good.
It's so good. And Ikari is so cool.
Yeah, oh, man.
But also very mysterious, and we don't really know anything about him besides the fact that he was basically commissioned.
By Bullseye. He was literally commissioned. I love putting it like that.
Yeah,
make me a Daredevil.
He was created.
Yeah.
By Bullseye.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I want him back. Yeah, he was so cool.
I want him back. I need to explore who he is. Who the heck is he?
Yeah, I know.
Matt once left him naked in an alley somewhere.
That's the last time we saw him for real. He was naked somewhere.
Well, we don't see him naked on screen, on the page.
No,
but only logical.
Yeah, he was naked and possibly dead, but probably not. I mean, hopefully not, because
he's not dead.
Max Shroud stabs him with Dark Force, but But
no, he's not dead.
But he's not dead. He's not dead.
He's too much used to be dead.
He's too cool to be dead.
Yeah, he was really cool. Yeah. And he had an awesome outfit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway. But we don't really know anything about him besides
Chip Zdarsky, who is definitely listening to this. Bring him back. Anyway, back to Bullseye.
Back to Bullseye.
One thing I really
he sure was creepy.
He was, yeah. I really liked. So first of all, Bullseye wearing the Daredevil costume is a reference to the comics. But I really liked how sinister they were able to make that costume look. There's that. I love the scene where Fisk has all the mob bosses together for his little mob boss get together. And Dex is standing behind him, and his eyes are kind of glowing. And he's in the suit. It's so cool. Oh man, I really like that they made it look that sinister when Bullseye was in it. That was really cool.
Yeah. So another thing that I really enjoyed, And that takes away, I think it kind of does off with some of the sympathetic vibes that they tried to go for, is when he worked at the suicide hotline.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really good, like, and the fact that they're kind of establishing that, like, okay, we just showed all this stuff about Bullseye, but, like, really...
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, that was such a Bullseye thing to do. So how are you going to do it? What kind of gun you got?
Yeah. So asking people like, okay, what, do you have a weapon? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have a plan? That would be fine. Because you can't make anyone more suicidal by asking if they're suicidal. Yeah, you're not, like, if you ask, like, are you suicidal? You know, like, that's not gonna...
Yeah.
Be like, someone's not going to be like, oh my god, I am! And then, like, become suicidal. Like, they know if they are or aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and asking if someone has a weapon as a suicide hotline, that's, like, important info to know.
Yeah.
Off the logistics of that, I mean, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
that was
I love that.
That really hit home how, like, sick and twisted he is. Mm-hmm. Since he's not actively killing people at the time.
Yeah. He's
just going to do it vicariously through other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really great... That felt very in character for Bullseye. Yeah. And it was... Yeah. And the fact that it was... I mean, just even the fact that he's working at a suicide hotline, the very concept of that is really darkly funny to me.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. It's very good. It's like, it's very dark comedy. It's
Yeah.
Suicide is not funny. No. Suicide is not funny. Disclaimer. But it was really good.
Yeah. Speaking of dark comedy, also at the end when he brings Julie as his +1.
I did like that.
Wow. That was
sick.
That was great.
Twisted and very Bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we got full on Bullseye a lot earlier.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, that's
because it's really fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, I mean, it's dark and it's awful, but it's fun.
Yeah, I wanted full on Bullseye. Exactly. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And not even, not just Bullseye going around killing Matt's loved ones, Bullseye, but, just because I don't want that. But yeah, Bullseye, I mean, I will always love how he was introduced in the comics, which is as he's an assassin and he's new in town and he's looking for business, so he just kills random people and leaves his business card and asks and demands money. It's really he can be so much fun when he's done well. When he's just Bullseye doing his thing. Just
an assassin new to town, following his dreams.
Yeah, he's in starting life in the big city, and he's he's hopeful. And then friggin' Daredevil shows up, ruins everything. Another thing is,
you know what? I've been thinking a lot about Julie, and I think we talked about this while we were watching the show. I kind of like her as a reflection of what Bullseye has been for women in Daredevil.
Yeah. Yes.
Like that, he points out his like misogyny. Like, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that you don't want him near.
I mean.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he killed her.
Yeah.
I liked the manipulation of it, but I think it would have been like...
Yeah. That would have been a good way to do that reference. Which is terrible to say.
But, no, yeah. Killing a woman is bad.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
It's kind of playing on his legacy of being a woman killer. Like, he kills women.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he kills other people, too.
Yeah, but in the context of Daredevil, and this is a Daredevil show, that would have been, that is a significant, for better or worse, that's a significant, I mean, for worse, but yeah, that would have been a neat way to do that. I hadn't thought of that. But
I did like him being a creeper, and like, oh my god, it's 2010. I said creeper. Okay.
People don't say
I did like him,
anymore?
like, just... a sketchy dude, and like the scene in the restaurant had me like squirming.
Yeah. Oh.
But he what does he say? He's like, is she making an excuse to leave?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she makes an excuse to leave.
But why does she excuse herself to leave?
Because he what is it?
It's the pizza
dancing. Place? No, it's the.
What's that?
It's something about, I think it starts with where she talks about her dancing, and he mentions ballet, and she says, "I never told you I did ballet," and that he he lets something slip that he's been stalking her.
Yeah,
and then she tries to
and she's
leave.
Like, "Okay, bye."
She pulls the plug on it.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, that was the creepiness was really well done there.
You don't have it. It was like, oh, I gotta feed my dog. He's like, you don't have a dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I also liked. This show played a lot with color, particularly black and white. With Matt and Fisk, kind of most notably, but also with Dex, and particularly his apartment. Which I thought was kind of neat. Like the first shot we have of his apartment, it's mostly white, but with blacks and shades of gray. And then as the show goes on, the apartment gets messier and messier and kind of darker and darker, which I thought was cool. Also, it's Apartment 131, and Bullseye's introductory issue was Daredevil Volume 1, number 131, so I like that, too. I like that.
Oh.
That was a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you really liked the image of him like vacuuming.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was great. Yeah, vacuuming in the Daredevil costume. It's just a really good image. I don't know. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's a good image too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you think we're done with Bullseye? Do you think?
Well, we can talk about the final scene, which is, it's a comics reference. It was kind of dumb.
Yeah,
but
I think it was anticlimactic.
Yeah, I wouldn't have chosen that to be the last scene. But the important part of it is that in the comics he gets a kind of reinforced, because Matt drops him off a building and he gets paralyzed and physically destroyed basically, and that's happened several times. That's happened several times. No, that's different. Yeah, Matt has destroyed Bullseye's body in many different ways. I'm talking about after Bullseye killed Elektra. Oh. And he is paralyzed, and then he does end up getting taken away by, oh my god. Anyway, I need to reread that arc. But he ends up getting kind of enhanced skeleton. I don't remember exactly if it's what metal it is, if it's vibranium or adamantium, but he gets some kind of enhancement, which is what they're clearly doing. Yeah, which is clearly what they're doing in that scene. Oh man, now I want to do a post. I did a post about Matt and Bullseye's history, but I kind of just want to do a post about various ways Matt has completely obliterated Bullseye. Because he drops him off the building. He kills him in Shadowland. He blinds him in Wade's Run. Shadowland was the Javits Center. They should put up a plaque.
Which I love.
Whenever
I love that they had to choose the Javits Center.
Yeah, and every time I'm at New York Comic Con, I look up toward the roof and I go, yeah, that's where it happened. Well.
Could you imagine? I just like to imagine. I know it didn't happen during a con, but during a convention.
That would have been great. Oh man, it should have been.
That probably wouldn't have been great.
I mean, no, but also yes.
But it would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been great to for us, the reader. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think if there's anything else say about obviously there's the toying with whether or not he would kill Karen, and then he ends up not doing it,
Karen ends up
great. Karen
beating him.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so satisfying.
Of course, they're gonna toy with it.
Yeah I respect them toying with it, and not actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been so mad. I would have been really mad.
Yeah, me too. There's no need for that. I've read that comic. I don't need to see that particular thing again.
No, and Netflix Karen is just so good.
Yeah. Oh man, I would have been really upset. I think we should move on. Do you want to move on to Foggy?
Oh, I actually do have a thought about the end.
Go for it.
So regarding the end, I just feel like, I mean, I understand it's a comic reference, but having Fisk just slam him into the wall,
yeah,
it
was anticlimactic. That's not a comic reference.
It was anticlimactic, especially for Bullseye, who is such a recurrent.
Yeah, it should have at least been Matt.
And it's not even like with a fight between. I mean, it's a three-way conflict.
Yeah,
but
it was a big
it just feels
fight.
Like, oh well, I guess Matt did nothing and won.
Yeah, that was kind of
just
lame.
feels kind of cheap.
Yeah, the whole last fight to me felt kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, I did like Matt staring Fisk down. Well, quote unquote, staring Fisk down.
Yeah.
Hey, you know who I am.
Yeah.
Basically sticks the middle finger up at him, like.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in general,
I was kind of wondering at the end. I was wondering if Matt was just gonna set Bullseye up to kill Fisk.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and just be like, okay, bye, and then not do anything because he would have gotten away with it.
Yeah,
it would have been fine. He didn't need to go in there.
Yeah, but he wanted to get in on that action.
I guess he did. Yeah. He could have just done that. He could have just set up that conflict.
Yeah.
Bullseye would have killed everyone, and he would have been like, okay.
Yeah. Though that would have been even more anticlimactic. So I understand why that didn't happen.
True. But plot hole, kind of.
Yeah. Though, I mean, I think it was in character for Matt to want to do, make sure, not to trust that Bullseye would make that happen and to want to do it himself. If you want to get something done, do it yourself. That seems like a very Matt thing that maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but he wanted to make sure it was done. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
And also I feel like it seems quite irresponsible given the collateral damage that Bullseye creates always.
Yeah.
To just let him at it.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he would have wanted Vanessa dead.
No, I don't think. No, I mean, he doesn't like her, certainly, but
he wouldn't. I don't think he would want her dead.
No.
Yeah. So that was a
yeah, I mean, and I think maybe the point was to. So it wouldn't be Fisk pulling the strings on Bullseye. It's kind of divide and conquer.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You have to pull that one string and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it would have been a much harder conflict if it was Fisk and Bullseye.
Mm-hmm.
After that would have been a pretty easy.
Yeah.
Defeat for Matt. That would have not worked well. So.
Yeah.
Having two people trying to stab Fisk is useful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the next topic you want to...
Well, I think because we're on the topic, I just want to, I think for me that final scene felt weak because, again, we kind of already got that in season 1. That's kind of a revamping of what happened in season 1. Fisk, he's manipulating everybody from the shadows, and then Matt, tries to go after him, and then in the end he beats him. And then... Again, and obviously that's a thing, that's a cycle between Matt and the Kingpin in the comics, but if you only have, you got 3 seasons and 2 of them are essentially the same story, and it also felt like they built Fisk up to be so powerful this season that the fight felt it didn't. I feel like all of these shows have had anticlimactic end fights. I feel like that's just a symptom of it being 13 episodes, and you have to build it up, and then there's no way it can possibly kind of be satisfying in the end. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of weak. Foggy was awesome this season. Like I mentioned, I didn't really care about his Netflix-verse family because his comics family is so great. But it was cool to see them. I'm pretty sure, because I was looking really hard for it the first time I watched, I'm pretty sure one of the random kids running around was named Candace. I have to double check. So she's there in some form.
Where is she? Give me Candace.
I know, I want her. I want full on awesome Candace.
Chaotic neutral Candace?
Yes.
Chaotic neutral, chaotic good.
Yes. Yeah. That's I would agree with that. She's great. Yeah, she's a good person. She's with a big personality. I really
very
want...
liberal.
Yeah, she's awesome. And then Rosalind Sharp, who is also awesome.
Yeah, Rosalind is not.
She's not a great person, but she's a really great character. Mm-hmm. And you get why she's kind of been hardened by life to not be a good person. She's one of those not good people who is still. I completely respect her. And
she's basically Jaren.
Yeah, she's very, very similar to Jaren, Netflix versus Jaren. So it would have been neat to have her. And she's also really cool because she parallels both Jack and Maggie, which is one of the things I love about her.
Yeah.
She's
I was
so
going to
cool.
say, the parental relationships in Daredevil are really interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
None of them are very, there's a lot in Jack that's kind of archetypal for superhero parents.
Yeah, but he also subverts a lot.
But at the same time, it's very unique.
Yeah. Yeah, and particularly in a season where Maggie is introduced, it would have been really cool to also have Rosalind as kind of that parallel, as another absent parent. I really like Rosalind. So, and I really like Candace, so I didn't care about what's his name getting blackmailed by Fisk. But it was, it was cool to see Foggy's family just because...
Theo.
Right, Theo. Sucks to suck.
It does suck to suck.
It does.
I was trying to figure out a way to say that.
There it is.
But yeah, so my motto, my tagline for Daredevil season 3 sucks to suck.
That's a good one.
You know what sucks? When you suck.
Yeah.
I mean...
But it was neat to see. I mean, in this, this is an alternate universe. Foggy's backstory is very different, and we've heard so much about his family that it was neat to see them. So it's what it is. But can we talk about Foggy's look first?
His what?
His look, his new look. He looks like comics Foggy.
He does look like
Finally.
Comics Foggy, I guess.
He looks like Somni Foggy. It's amazing.
He does look like... I love Somni as my favorite comic book artist.
He's the best.
I don't know if we've established this on one of these discussions.
Somni is phenomenal. I was rereading a bunch of Volume 4 last night and missing Somni terribly.
Somni is so good.
So good. Come back.
I want to, I'm going to, one day, I'm going to, if he goes to a convention, I'm just going to be like, why aren't you at more conventions? I'm going to take him to task.
Yeah. He never leaves his house.
I find it odd at conventions how easy it is to just,
go up to
strike up conversations with people you've read.
Yeah, it's great.
It's very weird and it's very casual and it doesn't feel like a big deal.
Yeah,
but then you're
that's one of my favorite parts of conventions.
Yeah,
I talked to Lee Weeks about Mike Murdoch.
When Paulo Rivera thought we were stalking him.
We mentioned this on past.
That to clarify.
You know, in fact, he may have been stalking us.
He may have been stalking us. But so we were at a different booth, and then he turns around, and we're like, oh, it's Paulo Rivera, and he's like, oh, hey. And we're like, hey. It was really awkward.
Yeah.
Wasn't it awkward? It was very awkward.
It was pretty awkward. But yeah, so Foggy leveled up this season, and he's always been. I mean, I've been very happy with the Netflix show Foggy, but he looked so good, and it was really cool to get even if the context was different and he didn't win, etc. Because of his dumb family getting blackmailed. It was really cool to get the plotline where he's running for DA, because it's an early comics plotline, and I always really appreciate when they draw from pre-Frank Miller comics, and it's a big deal. He's the DA for a long time in the comics, and it's kind of it's a very significant step up for him because it takes him out of Matt's shadow in a big way, and it kind of helps him establish himself. So, and that kind of already happened in season 2 in the show, but this is, and in, Defenders and in all with him working for Jaren, but we get to see him kind of on his own, doing his own thing, very successfully. Yeah.
And establishing his own life and his own, he's pretty much married to Marcy at this point.
He has it all. He's made it. Meanwhile, Matt's living in a church basement. Yeah, but yeah, he was. That was
also. Let
really
me tell
cool.
you, as a certified official, non-practicing Catholic.
Whoa.
There is no church basement in the world that looks like that. They all have linoleum floors, and they're ugly and bad. I assumed. Yeah.
It was neat to see Matt and Foggy as those different extremes. And to see Foggy, he's still with that kind of typical self-deprecation, but also much more confident than we've seen him in the past, which is what I was hoping for out of this whole thing. Because that's a big Foggy thing, is him building his confidence and becoming really badass, which he is.
Yeah. Yep. I'm kind of sad that nothing comes of his DA. I
wanted him to win. I wanted him to win.
Yeah, me too.
Damn family.
Yeah.
Why weren't you Candace?
Yeah. And I understand, they're okay, we're gonna go back.
Yeah. No, it was, they had to put Matt and Foggy back together, and I was really happy. That was really, really satisfying. That made me emotional. But it would have been cool if he'd won also.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is he the DA in Spider-Gwen?
He is, yeah. He is the DA in Spider-Gwen. And he has a really weird,
we'll talk about that at the end.
Yes. Yeah, we should. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Because we can talk about Spider-Verse also.
Because I think it may be coming.
I hope so. Oh my god, that would be so cool. I want that more than anything right now.
We'll talk about that.
I want that. Let's talk about that later. So one of my favorite scenes this season was the big reunion between Matt and Foggy, which should be this huge climactic emotional scene, and it kind of is. But
Matt's a dirtbag.
Yeah, Matt just says, "Hey, you might not see me again," and then steals his wallet. I love that.
Yep.
It's just so funny.
It's very good.
That he gets back to his apartment and he's like, "Matt's alive. Wait a minute, he stole my wallet."
I mean, he's kind of mad about it, but he's not as mad.
No, but it's just I just love that. I find that really funny. That's that's exactly my sense of humor.
That hasn't happened in comics.
Yeah. Oh, it for sure has.
Him stealing Foggy's wallet?
I can't think of a specific moment, but it seems like, that I could believe that. That's very in character.
Yep. And then checking in to, prison.
Yeah.
To,
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Which reflects on Foggy.
Yeah.
He's standing with the bar. Yeah. Oh, boy, Matthew.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing I loved is that, and this is both Foggy and Karen and Maggie, was that Matt got completely taken to task for everything this season. Yep. Everyone took every opportunity to tell him when he was being a jerk, which was really, after season 2, it was really satisfying.
Oh my God, season 2, I was I was furious.
It was so good, but it was, yeah. What's our motto, part of being a Daredevil fan is hating Matt Murdock.
Oh yeah, you have to hate him.
You have to. But yeah, I was really, I love that. That was very satisfying, and Foggy did a lot of that. Yeah, and it was neat, also to see Foggy with his own plot line. Because most, in the previous 2 seasons where Karen has gone off on her own and had her own plot line, Foggy has mostly just been tied to Matt. But here he was really operating on his own, in ways that, both Foggy and Karen kind of freaked Matt out this season, which was really nice also.
Mm-hmm.
Karma.
Also, Foggy got to punch Bullseye.
Yes,
twice.
He did. That was great. Yeah.
They both got to... Yeah, they both got to beat him up.
They both got a hit in, which was...
A swing.
It's what they deserve. That was good. But yeah, so Foggy's arc, it wasn't the most interesting arc, but it was neat. It was really neat to see Foggy in that position. It's kind of having everything. And then, reuniting with Matt, which was really great. And I loved, and then because that was a big part of Matt's character development this season also, and kind of, this season tied up a lot of plot threads and character arcs and stuff, and I think we talked about before of Matt figuring out how to keep both sides of his life in balance, finally. And part of that comes down to his realization that he's been a huge jerk, but his friends are still stuck by him anyway, and that's pretty amazing, and that he should appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was really neat. And Foggy, kind of taking him to task and being supportive while also being really frustrated with him and being willing to say that he's frustrated.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Really, yeah. Oh man, I feel like...
I give credit for any of Matt's friends for not drop kicking him off a cliff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I feel like I always should quote the end of that one issue.
That makes you cry?
Yeah. It's volume 4, number 5, the issue where Matt fakes Foggy's death. It's kind of without Foggy's permission.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool. Foggy realized that that's probably okay, but it is without his permission.
Don't do that. That's a bad thing to do to a friend.
Yeah.
Friendship advice.
Also, Rosalind is on the cover of this issue, and she's not in the issue, and that bums me out, because we never get her reaction to finding out that Matt is A, Daredevil, B, faked Foggy's death. I feel like she would have shot him on the spot.
As she should.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her yelling at Matt at Foggy's first funeral. Here we go. This is Foggy talking about Matt. He will confound you, he will frustrate you, he will make your choices for you, he will manipulate you without consulting you, and you will want to punch him in his self-assured face at least once an hour. But he will care about you in a way that no one else ever could. I love that quote. That's such a good quote.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. I will say that Marcy was kind of disappointing this season. She just kind of hung out and gave Foggy moral support. Which was kind of lame.
She should have been going out there with him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she was kind of the supportive girlfriend sitting at home, which was not superb, not that interesting. We didn't really get Foggy becoming comfortable with Matt being Daredevil, but he's kind of become resigned to it at this point. Which seems about right. That's essentially his attitude in the comics too, and particularly, I mean, in the show, it's a much more difficult process because he finds out so early. He finds out before Matt is actually Daredevil, whereas in the comics he finds out years and years and years after most other people have already found out. So he kind of gets to see Matt struggling through that process in the show, which makes him not, even less willing to accept it. But yeah, I feel like by this season, he's kind of, by the end of the season, he's kind of resigned to it and has grown used to it, which I think is about as much as we could expect. So that was neat. Some kind of closure, or, some kind of closure for that plot line anyway. So I appreciated that.
Karen.
Yeah, let's talk about Karen. All right. Oh man, another awesome Karen season. I'm gonna really miss her.
Everyone loves Karen.
Yeah. She's gonna be in. We get to see her one more time. She's gonna be in Punisher season 2.
Yay.
Yeah. But she was awesome this season as usual. Her, again, this season tied up a lot of Karen plot points, possibly more than anyone else. It kind of went right for it and gave us a lot of answers that we've been waiting for a really long time, which was nice.
Also, I just want to point out who's been right since season 1.
You always. Of course.
I was right. Was I not right? I was right.
You were right. Mm-hmm.
I was completely right. I was the rightest.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I just want that to be known.
You are amazing.
I am amazing. Thank you.
You are.
I am.
Yeah, so I was really impressed with Karen's backstory because they had to kind of reverse engineer it based on what the previous showrunners had hinted, while also tying in comics references, but not actually copying the comics exactly. And I thought they did a really good job of doing all of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I was very satisfied with her origin story, and that thought explained a lot.
And it's something that is within the realm of possibility, but also something that she would not want people to know about.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it explains
to start a new life, and but it's also, it just feels very real.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And they kept a lot of details. Like she's from Fagin Corners, Vermont, in the comics as well. Her brother is a new character, but her mother is still alive, or was still alive in the comics. So they changed up things, but kind of core details are similar. They reference her drug addiction, which is from later in the comics.
It's actually from Born Again.
Yeah, it's from Miller's run, so it's 250 issues in, but so it's not in her backstory, but they put something like that. They put drugs in her backstory in the show, which is a neat way of referencing it. And yeah, so I thought it's a horrific backstory. I think Karen deserves a break. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna get a break.
I don't think
she's in the Punisher next
I know. Maybe she'll just, it'll
I was
just...
saying all throughout this season, I'm like, she should go and find Frank. She for sure has his burner number.
Mm-hmm.
Go to his apartment and hang out.
Yeah, she's going to be in The Punisher, in that it'll occasionally cut to her and Matt and Foggy sitting on a beach somewhere. And then that'll be her appearance in The Punisher.
With a fruity adult beverage?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was really, her scene, her stare down with Fisk was one of my favorite scenes in the entire in any season of this show. That was so good. It's just so freaking powerful.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so well acted too.
She has a lot of great moments in this show.
So satisfying. Yeah.
I always think about the Wesley moment.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the best too.
That was so good. And so we finally got some closure on that, where Fisk found out, Foggy and Matt found out, and there's the great scene where, they're both great scenes where she tells both of them, and which tie into the idea that's kind of been developed around Karen in previous seasons, where she sees that Matt and Foggy think of her as this kind of good, innocent person, and she feels like a bad person, so she's scared to share anything with them. And she finally does tell them this season, and they accept it and support her. And kind of, so that was a really kind of touching, and for both of those scenes, that was kind of a touching way of tying that up.
I was always worried that Matt was gonna with the whole theme around killing and not killing, Matt was gonna throw a fit over it.
Yeah,
I think that would have been out of character.
Yeah, it would have been frustrating. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think.
But
I feel like I feel like Karen is an exception to a lot of things for Matt.
I mean, I think he would have, in general, at that situation, been like, okay.
Yeah, it was self-defense. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very. I mean, it was very clearly self-defense, and she's like, "Oh, but it was like 7 shots."
Still self-defense. Yeah.
It was still self-defense, and also like adrenaline's high. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did love that when she was talking to Fisk, and she says there was I shot him 7 times because the clip ran out.
Oh, Karen. And I do like that she's going to become a PI for the.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, it'll. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think.
Oh my gosh.
Karen is good. Blanket statement. How
about her relationship with Maggie?
Yeah. That was really neat. I really liked Maggie protecting Karen. Again, that's very Kevin Smith's Run reference, kind of. But yeah, I really liked Maggie protecting Karen, and also kind of opening up. She kind of dumps on Karen. She opens up to Karen about the situation with Matt, where she's unable to talk to Matt about it, but she kind of. I thought that was really kind of interesting, that she needed to talk to someone and she could not talk to Matt, so she talked to Karen instead. And they kind of connected over the uncomfortable family stuff. Yeah, that was really neat dynamic. I liked that a lot. Oh, and another thing I really liked, and this kind of ties into Karen telling Matt about Wesley, is that again, we talked about the Matt and killing theme was kind of sloppily done, but I really liked the moment where she talks to him about why he shouldn't kill, having done it herself. I thought that was really neat to see her advise him on something like that, and to share this thing that she's been hiding and that's kind of haunted her, and to use it as life advice. I don't know. It was to kind of make it useful information. Also, the scene, first of all, the continuation of Karen's dynamic with Ellison, which is really great. I like that a lot. But also the scene where after Bullseye attacks the Bulls and then she's talking to Ellison in the hospital. And she goes through the whole thing of, well, that guy wasn't Daredevil. And he asks the obvious question, which is, how do you know? Which is, I miss Ben Urich. I wish they hadn't killed him. It's kind of frustrating that they gave this to Karen, but it's that exchange seemed like a direct reference to that scene in Bendis' run, right after Matt gets outed and Jameson is telling everyone to go out and get everything they can on Matt, and Ben just stands up and says, "Hey, it's wrong. He's not Daredevil." And they have that whole exchange, which is a really great scene. And it pretty much goes the same way, where, Jameson doesn't fire him, but it's pretty much the same exchange. And so that was, again, I really miss Ben.
You refer to Ellison as knockoff Jameson?
Yeah, knockoff Jameson. Sorry. That's who he is. I mean, I've come to really like him, and he's kind of become a good character in his own right. But yeah, he is also knockoff Jameson.
Yep.
He's Jameson, Diet Jameson.
Jameson with maybe less anger issues.
Yeah, he's more well-adjusted Jameson. He's a Jameson without Spider-Man in his life. He's what Jameson could have been without Spider-Man.
If Spider-Man hadn't turned him into a monster. So when you worked for the Daily Bugle, was Jameson always at your throat?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just what he's always like. He's always on.
He's always on. And so when you couldn't produce pictures of Spider-Man,
I would draw them.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Draw a picture
I would just draw a picture of Spider-Man. Yeah.
Also, you can confirm, correct, that you did work at the Daily Bugle.
I can confirm that I did work at the Daily Bugle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is fact.
It is, yes.
But you never saw Spider-Man.
I never saw Spider-Man. I saw a lot of pictures of Spider-Man, but I never saw Spider-Man.
Huh.
That Parker kid got all the pictures.
That doesn't seem like fair.
No.
That doesn't seem like selfies.
Yeah, no, I know. It's weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
I guess he has an in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess.
Anyways. We're keeping that in, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
Oh, another neat... going back to Dex and Karen, first of all, the idea, obviously, that, again, the teasing whether or not he would kill her, but also the attempts to discredit her, the kind of development of that kind of that's
a good point.
They kind of become the antagonists for each other specifically, where he attempts to discredit her rather than just killing her, and then later after the church attack, when she goes with Brett and she just sends that smirk at him. It's so good. I liked them I liked him not killing her, but instead having kind of an antagonist relationship, kind of making him a villain for her anyway, specifically for her. I thought that was fun.
I think, now mentioning it, the whole, discrediting her is also, just a commentary on, women in general and how we're treated, and especially in the media.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
It just occurred to me, about,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very reflective on people who come out saying these things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there was a lot of there were a lot of references to current pressing issues in this season. Yeah, so Karen was awesome this season. I feel like I'm going to think of a lot more things to say about her later. Oh, we can also, I mean, so we never got Karen and Matt officially starting up a relationship. I mean, in season 2 they tried, but that never kind of came back around.
I think
but
it was end up with Frank, man.
I don't know, man.
I think they're going to smooch. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
How many things was I right about during this season?
No, they're hinting at romance for Kronk with someone else this season.
I want them to smooch.
Ew.
Listen,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Smooching? Is that too controversial?
Smooching? Yeah, it is for me. Don't talk about smooching. So anyway, yeah, they didn't start up anything, but they ended the season on good terms, which is really nice. They kind of bonded again.
And I have to say, with Foggy and Karen, I think one of the best things about it is that they, were teammates with Matt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rather than just kind of sitting on the sidelines and watching things happen, they were actively helping out. They were actively making plans with Matt.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Figuring out what the next step is, which we haven't seen before.
Yeah. Though at the same time, there was a lot of. Karen also usually works independently. But yeah, I felt like they were kind of working independently in conjunction. Though we did get that great mini team up with Matt and Karen, with Daredevil and Karen, which I wanted more of, but that was really neat, where she goes in to find that guy, and then Matt shows up.
And scares the poop out of him.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, we also got, along those same lines, we got Matt saving Foggy's life, which I've been waiting for. Because that was really great. When Bullseye tries to kill him. One final thing I really liked about kind of a recurring thing with Karen is people calling her a secretary and her correcting them that it's office manager. I don't know. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to. Actually, do you want to talk about Ray first? Because I feel like we're going to forget to talk about Ray.
Okay, I heard that, and the image that pops into my mind was R-E-Y.
Yeah, go ahead, talk about Ray.
I cosplayed that,
yeah,
but
talk about Ray.
I don't know what this has to do.
Tell us about Ray.
Right, okay.
Tell us about Ray.
So, I really liked him. He was a good egg.
Yeah, I liked
He's a good egg in a bad situation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the slow tightening of the noose sense of his story arc, where you're really rooting for him, and you know it's a bad situation, you know there's something off, but you're rooting for him, and then things get worse and worse and worse, and I thought it was really well done, that it's, you know he's not going to make it, but you still kind of hope that he might, and then he doesn't. And it was a neat... everyone in this show has their flaws. It was a neat exploration of kind of a good person in a bad situation who does bad things because they're in a bad situation and feels bad about it and tries to rectify it. It was a neat kind of moral story, a kind of the progression of his morality was really interesting to me.
Yeah, I never felt like he was a bad guy.
Oh, no, definitely not.
No.
But...
he was always someone who was just, a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he had no other choice.
It sucked, and I felt really so sad for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really, really well done kind of tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the end, he doesn't win, but he also wins.
Yeah. And I thought I think a lot about what he was talking about. I can't remember if he talked about it at the panel, but he talked about it at the interview I went to off-site during New York Comic Con. That Ray kind of stands in for kind of the average person who is trying to do good in a difficult, corrupt world, trying to salvage some form of kind of positive change, which I thought was kind of a really powerful way of playing it, in that he does, like you said, he doesn't really win, but he does actually manage to do something heroic that makes a big difference. Which is really neat.
Like, when he sees that everything's closing in, and he's like, well, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
He does, I don't want to say he makes it work, but he, like, figures out a way to make that into something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was kind of a foil for Dex, in that he was someone who kind of connected with Dex and kind of showed Dex in a normal, functional human situation. It kind of in opposition to what's actually going on with him. Yeah,
this is like what he might have looked like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I liked his relationship with his family. I thought that was, like, very, like...
Yeah. It was kind of...
And I did love that Fisk born again him.
Yeah. He just manipulated them.
You saw that happening.
I know, you called that right away. You called everything about this season right away.
I was feeling good. I was on top. I was very proud.
You are incredibly genre savvy. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention with Karen, was Karen being really genre savvy and knowing that Matt isn't dead. I like that too. And that she's freaking...
I do love genre savvy characters.
Yeah, and that she's freaking paying his rent. Oh my god. Oh. Alright, back to Ray. Yeah, and it was neat. I also liked his dynamic with Matt a lot. That they kind of, the trust they built and their team ups were a lot of fun. It was again
the fun when he's thinking to got through the truck.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's always fun to see people reacting to Matt's powers. So
it really is.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, rest in peace, dude.
Mm-hmm. Rest in pieces.
Yeah. It's.
I don't know. He's just really good. I just really liked him.
He was
just
really,
it really hurt to watch him. His whole life being destroyed.
Yeah, he was a really well done character.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about Fisk?
He's a big boy.
I thought this season did a really good job with him. No, that's it. I think you've said it all.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's big. He could be bigger, but he's pretty big.
Did you call him a toasted marshmallow at one point?
I did, yeah.
I don't think he's even that toasty.
Well, I said a half toasted marshmallow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's not even a... Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought this season did a really, really good job with him, with playing up his manipulation and how smart he is. I didn't catch on nearly as quickly as you did.
I mean...
I'm not as genre savvy.
I guess not.
I was also watching it at 3 in the morning.
I say in situations like this, it sucks to suck.
I know, you're right. It does.
Yeah, I am.
But yeah, I thought they did a really good job.
His manipulation was lots of fun.
Yeah, that was really a really well done, twisty plot line. That was awesome. And I think, again, that's part of why the final fight seemed so anticlimactic to me, because Fisk was so powerful for so much of this season.
Yeah.
And
but he not only gets out of jail, he's like free from house arrest.
Yeah, he gets everything. He plays everybody. And it's really great.
I liked him going through Dex's records, his therapy records.
Yeah.
Because that just kind of illustrates how analytical and...
Yeah, and the cinematography in that episode was really, really cool. I loved that. That was very clever.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So one nitpick about that is that seems like a very un-HIPAA-friendly way to store records.
Well, we've already established
I feel
that...
like it made Matt's job very easy.
Yeah.
The fact they have them on tape.
Yeah, gee. Wow.
I mean...
That's fortunate.
You could have got it if they printed out.
Yeah.
But, like...
But it would have been much more of a pain.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, we don't actually see... Well, there's that bit in season 1 where he's checking out the map of Midland Circle, where he might be reading it, but we don't really see Matt reading non-Braille print in the show, which is interesting.
Yeah. But he does, I mean, the Midland Circle thing implies that he can.
Yeah, it does.
Because why else?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure he can.
But it would have taken him.
Yeah, it would have been a really big pain. Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, that was fortunate.
You're just getting those records all over the place.
Yeah.
Those private medical records? Like, hey, maybe don't.
Well, we've already established that his therapist was very bad at her job.
Yeah, she wasn't great.
Yeah.
Don't keep therapeutic records on tape unless you have signed consent.
Mm-hmm.
She might have, but like also bad idea. Okay.
Yeah, I really. Fisk. Another thing I liked was that he kind of puts on such a controlled facade, but we also see moments where it breaks a little bit. I like the bit where he's in the car, and I think it's when he finds out that Karen is still alive, and he just beats the guy next to him to death just because he needs to hit something. Yep. And then with Vanessa coming back, that was really great with her. You know, he set up all this stuff for her, and she's just not into it.
She's like, I want to do crime.
Yeah.
Let's do crime.
Yeah. Yeah, someone... we had a...
we'll do crime.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a request on the blog. Someone wanted us to talk about... more about Vanessa, budding crime lady, which I'm more than happy to do. Yeah. It was...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to have, interesting to have two kind of senses of Vanessa. Because with Spider-Verse coming out, so it's an interesting time to talk about her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to compare, like, that with horrified Vanessa, who's like, no, you can't.
Well,
you can't be beating up a Spider-Man in my house.
Well, that's very, they're both kind of slight variations on the comics. Spider-Verse is more similar to the comics, or at least in the early comics, whereas this Vanessa is more reflective of Bendis's Daredevil run onward Vanessa.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, for a long time, Fisk hid a lot of stuff from her, and she had a sense of what he was up to, but she firmly believed that, he was a good person, and that, he wasn't... She didn't have a sense of what he was really into until later in Bendis' run, when she finds out before that, but in Bendis' run she has that big source of character development where Richard tries to kill Fisk, and Fisk is in the hospital, and Vanessa takes control, and she has all these people killed, and then she shoots Richard herself, and then there's that big switch over to her taking control of things, which obviously not that extreme in the show, but kind of hinting at that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm aware of that. I don't know.
It's really neat. It's really neat to have two versions of Vanessa going out in two different adaptations. Yeah, but it's still really neat because she's such a relatively minor character. But yeah, I was really... I wanted more Vanessa this season, particularly since she wasn't in season 2. And it's really... I love her getting into crime. I really enjoy that because it's... I mean, more so in the comics than in the show, but I would say even in the show, it's an empowerment move. Because Fisk... and, she actually talks about this in the show, that Fisk kind of... He coddles her and protects her and keeps her around and keeps her over in the corner, happy and non-complicated, and that's the idea of her stepping into his life and kind of taking control herself. It's a big empowerment move for her, which is a really neat bit of character development, and I really enjoy that. And I wanted her to go further. I wanted to see more. I would have liked for her to have come back sooner so that she could have become kind of a main antagonist beside him for longer.
So I would really like to see Vanessa murder somebody.
Yeah, me too.
Cold blood.
Yeah, me too.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I kind of wanted her, if we were going to have her back... I mean, obviously they didn't know this would be the last season, but I wanted her to go further. I wanted
go hard or go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if she's gonna get arrested, do more.
Yeah, I mean, she was definitely for sure an accomplice.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, definitely. But
more than an accomplice at this point.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But from a storytelling and character development standpoint, I wanted more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was cool to have her back for a little bit and to have her do something like that. It was yet another. I think my overall comment about the season is that they could have gone further with the things they did. So I think that's true here also for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back when we were talking about Fisk. 'Cause one thing I forgot to mention that I thought was a really interesting plot point was the painting, where he's trying to get back all of their possessions, and there's that painting that he bonded with Vanessa over in season 1 that he was having trouble getting back, and he goes to visit the owner, and she tells him that story.
Yeah.
I thought that was really... I mean, it was neat to see, someone who's just a random civilian standing up to him like that, so kind of effectively and powerfully, and I thought that was a really powerful scene on its own. But it was also an interesting moment as far as exploring Fisk's kind of personality and the way he dealt with that scene by not just killing him. Yeah. It
the limits that he sets for himself. He's like, I mean, he was clearly like, that's... Yeah, which was neat, because one of the things that made Fisk so interesting in season 1, and why this is such a good adaptation of him, is that we do get both sides very strongly. We get that he's clearly a terrible person, but that he does also have some degree of... He's not a complete monster all the time, that he does
make some right choices that are morally correct. And it was just kind of a complication of all the horrible stuff he was doing. Mm-hmm. If not,
Also, it reflects back onto Vanessa.
Yeah.
And did she know?
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah.
And, what exactly is she capable of?
Yeah. Yeah, if she knew the history.
I mean, I don't have to explain this, but it's pretty damn bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a really neat scene. And then it was also a neat moment for Dex. Who is willing to go that far. Kind of comparing Fisk with Dex, and actually we were asked about this too, the idea of Dex trying to be the new Wesley for Fisk, and kind of being desperate to make himself a permanent role, which, I mean, on the one hand, I would like a version of Bullseye who was not as needy as this version of Bullseye.
Yeah.
But it was neat, and it was very haunting for him to get the painting after having that scene where we see Fisk allowing her to keep it.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's a new James Wesley. That's
he's not.
bad.
I think that's the point, is that he's obviously not.
Yeah,
and he was never going to be.
Wesley was very, he's not.
Yeah.
He never will be.
Yeah, he was just, Dex is nothing but a pawn.
He's just a murderer. He's just violence.
Yeah, and Fisk wasn't aiming for that kind of a relationship with him. I doubt he would be willing to open up with someone like that, apart from Vanessa, ever again, because of what happened to Wesley. So, yeah. It was, no way.
No way.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Is there anything else you want to talk about regarding Fisk?
Nothing immediately jumps to mind.
Yeah, I think we've covered the basics of it. He continued to be
a poop head.
Yes. Do you want to move on to Maggie?
Yeah, let's move on to Maggie.
Yay! So
Did we already talk about Maggie?
No, we didn't. We haven't talked about Maggie yet. No.
Sweet.
Maggie's I think she's our final person.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody else. But yeah, so I really, really love Maggie, and I was really excited, but also really nervous about getting her in the show, because there's so many ways to do her wrong.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's really easy.
But for me, she was one of the best parts of the season. I was really, really
I liked her. She was very likable.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. They kind of distilled what I like about Maggie. I think she was my favorite part of the season.
Yeah, I really liked her. I don't know if she's my favorite part. I liked all of it, but I think she was really good, and they did a really solid job. And thank God they went for the Wade backstory.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she doesn't really have any other backstory.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, there's a lot about Maggie that is very, very vague, and obviously it's all retcon because she wasn't introduced until Born Again.
Because she was vaguely dead.
Over 200 issues in, so she was originally dead, and this is a really rare, kind of cool instance of a dead parent, particularly a dead woman, being retconned into not being dead, which is neat.
Yeah. For sure.
Which I love. I love that.
I don't know. I hope we haven't talked about this, but it's like a very, very unique parent-child.
Oh yeah, their relationship is fascinating. But yes, in the comics, she's retconned into not having died. That Jack told Matt that she had died, but she actually just left, and the reason was never. Frank Miller never established a reason. It was kind of vaguely implied in. I think pre-Wade the most kind of concrete story we got for her was in the Battling Jack Murdoch miniseries, which suggested that she left out of some kind of religious guilt because she and Jack weren't married when they had Matt. And I never liked that. I thought that was kind of a really weak, kind of stereotypical, boring reason.
Yes.
I didn't like that. So yeah, when in Volume 4, the second volume of Wade's run, he actually finally gave us a concrete reason and also a really interesting reason. And the issue actually got a lot of attention when it came out because the big revelation was that she left because she had severe postpartum depression, which is not a topic that is covered much in superhero comics or in media, kind of mainstream media in general. So he kind of did that not only to give Maggie an actual backstory, but also to kind of raise awareness for that, which was really cool. And Wade did a lot of that sort of thing. It's one of the great things about his run. It was like bringing, he did that with Foggy's cancer, and he brought in other things from the real world, kind of things to. And he officially diagnosed Matt with depression. So he did a lot of that sort of thing. So yeah, I was really happy, just to have Wade's run referenced at all, because for me, it's my favorite Daredevil run. For me, it's kind of a groundbreaking run, and the show has barely touched on it. So I love that, just the fact that he was that was referenced, but also that they used that for Maggie specifically because it's such a good kind of a way of looking at her character. So that was really cool.
Did you feel weird about the age difference between her and Jack?
See, I wasn't sure how to read that because the show has been really bad at de-aging, at kind of de-aging people in the past. It was really bad with Matt also. You had no idea how old Matt was in any of the flashbacks, any of the young Matt flashbacks.
Yeah. I mean, he looks clearly older in the flashbacks we have this season.
He does, but I think that's because the actor aged. I don't think they did anything. Yeah, I think that was all natural. But yes, I wasn't sure if that was they were supposed to look like there was a big age difference, or if they just didn't do a good enough job of de-aging the actor playing Jack. Because it would have been weird to put a big age.
She seems like real young.
Yeah, and that's a weird. If that was intentional, that's a weird decision. I don't know why they would have done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, but I not all characters are going to be like, that's real life. Like, it does happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Not maybe the best choice, but like that's why they're interesting characters.
Yeah.
But
I mean, my thing is that if it's weird to make that kind of a decision to make them noticeably have that big of an age difference, but not actually address it. It seems like a weird decision to make just randomly, particularly since it's not in the comics, and because it is something that's noticeable. And I don't know anything about nuns. I don't know how old they are when they get nunnified. Nunnified. So I don't know if there's a way to determine how old Maggie would have been. I'm sure there is.
Yeah. I'm just not going to do the research.
How old are nuns when they graduate from nun school? What the heck? I'm going to Google it. I'm curious. I should try for some accuracy here.
Go for it.
I don't even know what...
Remember when we Googled lawyer fights?
Yes, and that turned out really well, so we may get some good stuff here. I mean, what is it? What do they even do? What do you call it?
I don't know.
How old do nuns become nuns?
I'm like the world's worst Catholic. I don't know.
I'm relying on you here, man. You're the person who's supposed to know this stuff.
I don't know.
Let's see. Know. How old?
Nun. How old nun?
How old nun? There's already one here. How old become nun? There we go. Okay. According to Google, a woman who wants to become a Catholic nun must be at least 18 years old, be single, have no dependent children. So she was to be considered.
She was
to be considered, it says. So, according to this, she would have been older than 18, which is something.
Okay, but she was, like, in, like, nun school. She wasn't, like, an official nun at that point. She was, like, seemed like she was a...
Well, let me see. I don't know if they're talking about to be considered to be a nun or to be considered to train as a nun. I don't know. Let's see. I think it's to be considered not to learn to be a nun, not to actually be a nun. So 18 to 18 before you can start that process is what this seems to be saying.
Okay.
So it may be just that they picked an actress who looked slightly too young for the part. I don't know. I mean, and we also don't know how old Jack was.
Older than 18.
I mean, yes. But, I mean, I don't... Yeah, the show is really bad with this sort of thing, and it's annoying. So, yeah, I think all we can say is if there's an age difference there, it's hard to tell whether it's intentional, it's not relevant to the story, it's not true in the comics, and it's just kind of a weird thing that's there.
Yeah.
That's
life, I guess.
Okay. They're, both consenting adults, I guess. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did really like that scene where they meet. I thought that was that was a sweet way of depicting that, because that's another thing there's so much about that story that just hasn't been depicted in the comics.
Yeah, and we've had some weird theories about Maggie.
Oh, yeah.
There's something weird about her.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, I have my, because in the comics, she's kind of this kind of ethereal person who appears at times when Matt needs someone to talk to. And there are times where she'll just be there and then she'll vanish. And then there's a great conversation where Frank Miller does give us the conversation when she, after Matt's accident, she comes and visits him without Jack's knowledge. It's him. Well, some versions say with his knowledge, some versions say without. I mean, it's not continuity.
They're
is not
separated and they're not talking.
But yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's not. She doesn't go there with Jack or anything, but she goes to visit him in the hospital, and they have this weird. I mean, Matt's super out of it, obviously. So it's kind of dreamlike from his perspective, but she's talking to him, and she says that, this is a good thing. You've been given a gift. You shouldn't tell anyone about it. It's this, she seems to know more than she should. And, Matt doesn't know who she is at that point.
Not told anybody.
No, and he hasn't. But there's something about Maggie that is kind of supernatural, which I've always thought was really cool. So, I had this fun theory that she was a ninja. There was someone on the blog who suggested, a reading, and this doesn't fit with, she is, it could only fit, it could only work if we were taking into account their early interactions, but the theory that Maggie as a ghost, which I thought was a really cool thought. Yeah, or a hallucination. There's always this
really.
Yeah, it would be believable too.
Yeah,
if we're just looking at
the retcon, it could work.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the visit after his accident and their encounters during Born Again, that would be very believable, because they're both instances in which Matt is not in a grounded state of mind, or even any kind of logical state of mind.
Also, no one else talks to her or interacts with her.
Yeah. So, so that's something I've always really liked about Maggie, is the kind of not quite, bending of reality that happens around her. Which they didn't do in the show, but I wasn't expecting them to. It's just something that I enjoy about Maggie in the comics.
Yeah.
It makes her extra interesting.
I think another, interesting thing about her is her, like, fascination with the fighting.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that the other, like, junior nuns, I guess,
mm-hmm.
are like, should we be here?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Should we be doing this? And she's like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I thought that was a really good, and it fits with her personality as it's depicted later. You know, she's kind of tough, no nonsense, a little bit irreverent. I mean, extremely irreverent. You know, very hardcore, not intimidated by much. But yeah, I really enjoyed that she just kind of gets in there. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. That whole scene I really enjoyed. Is Foggy making noise?
She's making noise.
Foggy, shut up. So just as kind of established in that scene, and as we see again, I really liked, because you can go too far with Maggie as this kind of person who gives Matt guidance, and just make her what? Sorry.
Put on a pedestal.
Yeah, or make her...
Not put on a pedestal, maybe, like, make her, like, kind of trite.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of dull down her personality and make her kind of like what they did with the priest dude. I mean, he was more interesting than... they actually... I take that back. They did a fairly good job with him. But I was worried that they were going to get rid of Maggie's eccentricities for the sake of making her just... be someone who spouts wisdom at Matt. And they went the exact opposite, which I was really happy about. She ends up, as a result, becoming a great foil for Matt, where you have these two really hard-headed, kind of snarky people, you know, interacting with each other. And Maggie, they're the best possible situation for Matt here, being in this kind of angsty state he is in this season, is to have someone who just is having none of it. And I really enjoyed their dynamic, and I thought, because their dynamic is so important to me, I was really happy that the show kind of nailed that right from the beginning, right from the first episode of the season.
She's very good.
Yeah, and I also like So, for comparison, and I do really like this in the comics, and it kind of happens the same way in the show, and I'll get to that in a minute, but in the comics, they meet after Fisk has almost killed Matt. It's actually we get the scene, I'm pretty sure, did we talk about this? I can't remember. The scene with the taxi.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, so after that scene in Born Again, Matt kind of claws his way back out of the river and collapses in an alley, and he is found, and he ends up being taken care of by Maggie. And Matt, in his kind of extremely out of it state, recognizes her smell and her voice from the visit after his accident, and he kind of, you know, out of it it's the kind of thing that I can't imagine him saying if he was fully alert and awake, because it's so ridiculous. But he asks her if she's his mom, and she says, "What? No." You know, she shoots him down, but he can tell that she's lying, and then they just don't talk about it for a long time. Yeah, they just
don't they only talk about it in the Wade run after.
I mean, they vaguely touch upon it actually, I was going to get into this later, but yeah, we can talk about it now. They're both very hesitant to talk about it. So while they interact, and they have this understanding that they now both know, they don't really, they kind of move slowly toward talking about it without ever actually talking about it. Like, there's the great scene, the very final scene in Volume 1, in Volume 1, number 380, when Matt goes to visit her. Matt goes to visit her at the church, and he says that there's something, I've been, busy and stressed, and I just there's something I wanted to visit you, and there's something I wanted to share with you. And Maggie gets very quiet, and she goes, well, what's that? And Matt says, ice cream, and he takes her out to ice cream. And so there's the kind of thing where clearly they both kind of sidestepped actually talking about anything, but it's a really sweet scene. And then there's a great bit in, actually one of my favorite bits in my least favorite Daredevil run, which is Kevin Smith's run, where Matt is talking with Maggie, and he actually calls her mother, or he calls her mom. I can't remember what exact, and she says, "Oh, I'm just a sister." Mm-hmm. And there's another bit in the last issue of Joe Kelly's run, where Maggie it's one of those scenes where Maggie kind of appears and then vanishes, and she's there and she's talking to him, and then she vanishes, and there's this great bit where she's gone, and Matt goes, "Maggie, Mom." So it's this great thing where they build this relationship of kind of mutual trust, and Matt will go and talk to her, and they'll hang out, but mm-hmm. They've also kind of wordlessly agreed that they're not ready to actually talk about the fact that she's his mom, and they don't actually really have that conversation until Wade's run. So until 3 years ago, and this started in.
I'm old.
I know, right? Isn't it so weird? The 50th anniversary was 5 years ago. How weird is that? I was just thinking about that. Yeah,
we're old.
I know. But yeah, so it's this really fascinating relationship where they're not really. I mean, she's his mom, but they're not. It's not a parent-child relationship. It's more of a friendship, and that they're just kind of figuring out. They have to get to being friends first before they can. And Maggie, she left and she has a new life. And Matt grew up not having a mom and not really being concerned about not. So it's not like it's this. Oh, good! I finally found. It's not. They don't have this huge need to have a parent-child relationship. They're happy just being friends.
Matt's a pretty independent person.
Yeah, he hasn't suffered from not having a mother. Jack was fine. Jack was enough. And Maggie,
he definitely does suffer from his absence because Jack was his dad and his mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But it's not like he's not depicted as having been missing a mother figure in any. It's.
And I think that's what's interesting about the relationship too. It's he was at peace with it.
It never even entered his mind that he could have that kind of relationship or that he would want that kind. It's just a complete non-issue. And obviously for Maggie, she has a new life. That's another thing I really, really like about Maggie, and it's a parallel with Rosalind Sharp, who is Foggy's biological mom, who has a very different relationship with Foggy than Maggie has with Matt, but it's the same situation, and it's really unusual where you have these women who are mothers who reject being mothers, who say, okay, for whatever reason, for Rosalind it was for career purposes, that she just didn't feel ready to focus, to spend her life raising a child. And she didn't. And, I think that was a responsible choice on her part, because obviously if she wasn't ready, then she wasn't ready. And, these mothers who have rejected that and gone on to have their own lives and not been killed by the narrative, they actually were allowed to have these lives beyond that, which is really unusual and really cool. And actually, we already talked about Rosalind, but I think it would have been really. I love Rosalind. I would have much preferred Rosalind be in the show than the family they gave Foggy, but we've already talked about that. Yeah. But yeah, so I really like, in the show, we kind of get the shortened version of where, Matt and Maggie have been building this relationship for literal decades in the comics, but in the show we get this really neat truncated version where over time they do bond, and it's really sweet to watch them bond. They get to the point where they start kind of joking with each other and they feel comfortable with each other. And actually, in the show, we get the opposite situation, whereas in the comics, their first encounter is Matt figuring out who she is. But in the show, they have this whole relationship beforehand, and then Matt finds out, and it kind of tests that relationship, which I think is a neat variation. I think it worked just as well that way. And I really I actually posted about this on the blog, and some people took issue with it, which just shows how little I know about Christianity, but the scene where Matt overhears her praying, people were saying that it's weird to pray out loud.
I would, yeah, generally.
Okay. That didn't bother me, because I don't know better.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but...
Okay.
I don't think it's typical. Okay. I mean, I've been kind of separated.
But you know more about it than I do, which is nothing. But. So, but yeah, so maybe it was a little bit contrived, but I actually, even given that, that didn't bother me at all, because I like the scene so much. Because I really like the idea that it's not this huge revelation for, at least from Maggie's perspective. It's literally just a coincidence that he happens to find out, which is this, just like in the comics. And so I really like that. And the fact that afterward they then kind of have to reevaluate, or at least Matt has to reevaluate that situation. And it is made a little bit weird by the fact that in this universe, Maggie was there during Matt's childhood.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't like... I've talked about this, I think, at length in other... I think we've talked about this before, but I hate a lot of the reinvention of Matt's origin story. A lot of it kind of doesn't make sense the way they did it. Beyond just the fact that orphanages aren't really a thing. And yeah, the fact that Maggie was there, and I don't mind that. It just makes the situation
extra dynamic.
Yeah, it does, and I don't. It doesn't hugely bother me, because Maggie has still separated herself out, which I think for Maggie is important. That's an important part of her character. But it does make it kind of extra kind of twisted that she was still there.
Yeah, and I think it makes it complicated because she has to balance is he I don't even know why they have an orphanage.
No, it's weird.
It's weird.
What year is it?
It's weird. It's weird, and I don't feel like it is a thing.
No,
but okay, whatever.
No, it's really bizarre. It's a bizarre choice. Why can't
he go into foster care? Instead.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre choice.
Okay, but anyways, so. Yeah, I mean, but the dynamic is interesting when she's trying to decide how much of a mother she actually wants to be.
Oh, yeah.
Does she want to...
Yeah.
Blah, 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 but...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely, I agree. I don't have a huge problem with it. It's just different, and I prefer the comics version.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it could... going back to his backstory, I feel like foster care and being bounced from place to place could be good. I don't know. It could. I feel like it could have been better.
Yeah. I mean, personally for me, having them kill Jack so early in this version just caused more problems than it solved.
Oh no, I totally agree. However,
given that, they could have at least, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, and given that situation, and also, Priest Guy is involved, and that's, he was also complicit in that, which, okay. I don't have much to say about him. He was just, I don't know. But I do really like the fact that I do think it's interesting putting that after they've already met and kind of established a relationship, having them go through that, Matt's anger and the horror that Maggie feels that he's found out, and then have that final scene. I don't remember, we've already talked about this. I'll double check. But that kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the comics, where they're both talking about it without actually talking about it. Where Matt comes in and says, "Hey, I think it would maybe be kind of cool if I could talk to you sometimes about stuff." And Maggie goes, I love this. Maggie goes, "Well, that is part of my job." So they kind of, in a very kind of awkward, sidesteppy, not ready to actually address it out front way, agree that they do want to have a continuing relationship. And I really liked that. That was very sweet. They didn't go out for ice cream, but I'll take it. I also really like... is there anything else you want to say about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I also really liked...
Whoa! I was humming!
What? Oh.
I was humming. I was like, Oh. And then you're like, okay.
Okay, anyway. Sorry.
And no, I didn't have anything else to say, so.
I also really liked the fact that Maggie wasn't just present in the story as someone for Matt to talk to. That she got involved. I loved her getting involved when Karen is hiding at the church and Bullseye attacks the church. And kind of evaluating that situation and protecting Matt and Karen and being pretty dang kind of brave in standing up to the kind of obviously dangerous FBI, and completely keeping her cool. I thought that was, I mean, I'm not surprised, obviously. I think that's an important part of Maggie's character.
She's a very cool customer.
Yeah, and she's very, I mean, in Wade's run, we encounter her, she is in jail for civil disobedience. So I think it's important to also show that part of Maggie's character, that she's kind of an active, heroic person in her own right, which I think is really cool. I love that Wade kind of added that to her, and I love that the show gave that part of her personality a chance to be on display, at least a little bit. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yes.
So I think that might be it.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I think there were a few other quick things. I thought, first of all, Turk was not in this season, which is kind of inexcusable.
That's not okay.
Yeah, what the heck? Where was he? I was hoping for Santa Turk, like in Born Again.
No, Santa Turk.
We could have had Matt get stabbed by Santa Turk, and we didn't.
No.
Yeah, so that was weird that Turk was not in this season. And also we had that little scene with Melvin Potter. We actually got to meet Betsy Beatty, who has been referenced, and that was
his
cool.
parole officer, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Not his worker.
Well, she's his parole officer in the comics too. She's kind of his parole officer / therapist, and eventually / girlfriend in the comics. So it's basically the same. I mean,
that seems bad.
It's not great, but yeah, that's how it is.
Quite bad.
Yeah, but that was cool to see her, and they're kind of I like their that's kind of a cool. I don't know. I really like them in the comics, and we kind of got the same vibe here in the show that Betsy is very, very protective of Melvin, and I was really disappointed that they never let him go full on Gladiator. Yeah. I mean, obviously they didn't know this would be the last season, so maybe they were planning, but I was hoping to see more of him beyond just him showing up and then ending up in jail, which was kind of awful.
Poor Bub.
Poor Bub. Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of awful that he just kind of showed up for that and then got arrested, and then that was it. So yeah, I was really disappointed about his lack of integration into this season, particularly since he's not a major player in Born Again, but he's important.
And cool.
Yeah, and he's been in. This is now the third season he's been in, and they've been building up to what was implied to be a Gladiator origin story, and we never got it, which is too bad. But that's what it is. We never got Stiltman either.
Did we get the Stiltman reference? Oh, damn! We
didn't get one this season. His workshop got burned down, and I just hope that he managed to finish and deliver the Stiltman suit before the workshop burned, and that somewhere out there is Stiltman. I have to believe.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
And just a poster with Stiltman.
Yes. Stiltman is among us.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, I think overall, I think we've covered everything I can think of. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to give, talking about what Marvel has coming next.
Yeah. Yeah, well, first,
there's Captain Marvel.
Yeah! So excited.
Which I'm excited for.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won an Oscar, as did Black Panther. So that's freaking awesome.
Both really good.
Yeah. I
know because I've been off Tumblr for anxiety, political reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So I just see the blog. I only see, Daredevil related stuff. Because I don't wanna. No. I cannot handle.
No.
I can't. That went bad real fast for me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how well it was received, but if anyone, I feel like it was criminally under-advertised.
Which one?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, it won 5 billion awards before it won an Oscar. I don't know the awards well enough to list them, but it's been winning major awards. It's been sweeping, the animation world. It's doing fine. And there's definitely going to be a sequel and a Spider-Gwen spin-off. So, good vibes for Murder Doc to finally to get animated.
I mean, I think it is possible now that Disney's done, Marvel, which is owned by, so that they're done with Daredevil here.
Well, but I don't think that's a factor because they used Kingpin. I don't. That
might have been. I
think it's fine. I don't think there are contract issues, and besides, it's if they were allowed to use Kingpin, they would definitely be allowed to use a different version of Matt, if not 616 Matt. It seems to be... I mean, I don't see how they could have used Kingpin if that was an issue.
Fair enough.
So, I am hoping... I mean, I would love for that animation team to do a Daredevil movie, because I think that would be the greatest Daredevil movie that could be made, with that kind of original thinking and kind of the flexibility and innovation allowed by animation in particular. Animation in general, and particularly that kind of creative approach to it. But yeah, so at the very least, I would love to have Spider-Gwen versus Matt in the sequel. But either way, I'm really glad we're going to get more, because I love that movie.
Yes. Very, very good movie.
Yeah. It took us so long to do this. Sorry. Punisher.
It took us so long.
Punisher season 2 is not out. Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah. Well, it's...
I feel a little bad.
I mean, a little bit. But, it's also cool to space them out. I don't know.
Is it?
I like to think so. Justify it to myself. But yeah, Punisher season 2 is out. In sadder news, I mean, we all knew it was coming, but they canceled Punisher and Jessica Jones, so the Netflix shows are officially over.
Rest in spaghetti.
Rest in spaghetti, yeah. It's been so much fun. It was, I mean, we got a lot more than we were supposed to get. And, it's been fun. And we have one more. Well, we have to review Punisher season 2. So, we have 2 more. But we have one more. Jessica Jones season 3 is coming out presumably sometime this year. We don't have a date yet. But that's exciting. Yay. And, the new Daredevil run just started, by, Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto and Sunny Go, and it's going.
Cicchetto's art is mwah.
Yes, I'm glad to have him back. I mean, I'm gonna really miss Phil Noto. I was really happy to have Phil Noto finally work on Daredevil, and I was sad we only got him for a few issues. Though, if we were only going to get him for a few issues, having him be back for the for Mike Murdock becoming real is kind of the ideal place to get him back. So that was cool. But Marco Cicchetto was really great.
There's been a lot of really great artists on Daredevil recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. I still miss Chris
Cicchetto
Simon.
Matt is very pretty.
Yes, definitely.
As he should be.
Yeah.
Matt is a very pretty boy.
He is. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, that's an important part of his character design, that he is very attractive.
Yes.
Yeah. So, there were 2 issues into that, the new run, and it's going interesting places. So.
Hey, you want to talk about Zdarsky's signature?
Oh yeah, you can talk about it.
Okay, so apparently, when my co-blogger went to get signatures from him, he was doing a signing event for.
Yeah. I didn't just accost him on the street. Yeah.
He just signed his name on hers, but gave me a heart.
Yeah, which is rude.
So take that as you will.
Yeah.
But I'm taking that as I'm the best and you suck.
Wow. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Yup. So yeah, good Daredevil stuff.
Recommendations? Do we have any recommendations?
Oh man, do you have recommendations?
I do, and it's for a YouTube series.
No, we're doing comics. Your comics recommendations. What is this?
No.
Yeah, that was the original idea.
I haven't done recommendations the last few months.
Well, okay, fine, go for it.
Okay.
We'd originally decided that we were going to and our videos with comic recommendations. However, Chip Zdarsky's favorite over here is changing things up a little bit. So go ahead.
I know. I'm his favorite. Remember when Paulo Rivera noticed us?
We've already talked about that.
That was a very awkward moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it was originally on Polygon's YouTube channel, but now it is on their own YouTube channel. So it's called, it's a series called Monster Factory. There is a lot of swearing. It can get...
There's what?
Kind of raunchy.
What are you recommending here?
It's not offensive, but it is not safe for work. But it is also extremely funny, and I have cried laughing because of it. It's by, if anyone's familiar with My Brother and Me, or the Adventure Zone podcast, it's by Griffin and Justin McElroy, two brothers who are man-children who somehow gained some power in the podcasting world, but these are YouTube videos of them using video game character creators to create abominations that are a sin in the eye of God, and then playing video games using them, and they are very funny. So the other channel besides Polygon that is they are on is the McElroy family. So McElroy family. And if you haven't listened to their podcast, they're also really good. So I do recommend. I got into My Brother and Me, which also has a lot of bad words, has a lot of like raunchy humor, but it's not offensive. It's just don't listen to it with coworkers around.
All right, and my recommendation is a comic. I don't. This came out a year or so ago, but I don't think I've actually gotten around to recommending it yet. It's called Shirtless Bear Fighter from Image Comics. It is by Jody Leheup, Leheup. I'm sorry, I'm definitely butchering that. Sebastian Gerner, Neil Vendrell, and Mike Spicer. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a guy named Shirtless who is a human who was raised by bears, who had a Shakespearean, dramatic, horrible falling out with his bear family, and now fights bears, and intrigue, and drama, and lots of bear puns and poop jokes ensue. It's really, really funny. It's very... Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. So go check it out. It's great.
It reminds me of that one gravestone that pictures have been circulating around that said, born in 1819, killed 99 bears, died September 25th, 1905. And then beneath that is, we hope he has gone to rest.
We hope.
We hope.
Please.
No, he killed 99 bears.
He was so close to 100.
I know. I know. His name was Tiger Whitehead.
His name was Tiger? Are you serious?
James T. Tiger Whitehead. He was buried in the Tiger Whitehead Cemetery. So.
Whoa. There was a whole family of them.
Whoa. We tried, by the way, for all the people listening, we tried to record information about the guy who killed the 99 bears, but it failed every time because he knows.
Yeah, he got into our internet connection and prevented that from happening. That's top secret information. It's too powerful.
Freaking Tiger Whitehead.
I can't believe that's his name.
Well, it's So apparently, the nickname is because this is just like urban legend. He had to once hunt and kill a tiger that had escaped from a traveling circus near Bristol, Tennessee.
Whoa. Wow. That's amazing.
Well,
why isn't the tiger on the tombstone? To be 99 bears and one tiger. Yeah, I think that's even more impressive than the 99 bears.
I don't know. I mean, if 9 bears and one tiger would make a much better gravestone, because then you would have to be like, what?
Yeah. It's a non sequitur.
I mean, it's a pretty important non sequitur, sir. It's sequitur. Like, come on, man.
Wow, you're breaking up really badly.
And that's like old. So he died in 905 at like 86.
Wow. He was killing bears right up until the end. I have to assume.
Apparently, his wife was rehabilitated animals.
Oh, whoa!
And raised 2 cubs.
The connection got bad again.
Okay. Well,
he doesn't want us to know.
I'm giving up.
Okay. All right.
I'm giving up on time. They're this isn't related.
Yeah.
He killed a lot of freaking bears, and it's a very, very good grave. And I love it very much.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, read Shirtless Bear Fighter, and
you can kill 99 bears.
Yeah. Maybe you can kill 99 bears.
Please don't kill 99 bears. I really love bears. Don't do that, please.
So sometime in the possibly distant future, we will be reviewing Punisher Season 2. Eventually, someday.
We're sorry.
We're
trying.
Yeah, but I mean, my thinking is that since the shows are over, we don't have to be in such a rush, because it's not like we're gonna get too far behind because they're over. So we can take our time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone just agree with us. Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay, yeah.
All right, I'm glad you guys agree.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
I'm sorry that I guess Skype doesn't want me to tell you about the Tiger Man.
No, you sound
all the bears.
You sound fine now.
He killed so many bears, man. It was a thing.
Yeah. All right. I hope you've enjoyed. This was fun. Good. Rest in peace, Netflix Daredevil. Yes. It's been amazing.
Yep. See you all in the next review.
Yes. Bye.